That's why I'm on your show, so Dustin can just figure it out.
What's going on, guys? We are late. Had a little bit of technical difficulties with Skype. Uh, we're all amateurs in this, but it's interesting for day by day or week by week operations. But as you know, I'm Dustin Raven Rock. Got my boy Jeff Customs RC and my main man Rich RCInformer himself, Baker. So. How's it been going, guys? Like, what's new with you guys? Anything?
Oh man, just well, I mean, from the background to his screen, it's busy.
Always busy, yes.
And me too. I put a bunch of extra stuff. Like I said, I put all kinds of stuff back here. So I tried to dress it up. This might actually be, when I start doing some live stuff, which I'm probably going to do here, this might be the background. I'm still messing around with it, so trying to display stuff. So but yeah, no, I just got a lot going on. I mean, we both got Sukhois. I got this here. I got put my box up here so I can be like you here.
There you go.
Let's see who gets into the field first.
Now.
Yeah, right.
But here, I'm going to raise my volume a bit here more. Can y'all still hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Good. Okay, that's better for me too. All right, cool.
So, up with some emojis tonight for Mr. Rich Baker, RCInformer, hanging with us tonight, guys. Been killing it on the video scene lately, putting out some great videos.
Yeah, he's been knocking them out like back to back. Cause I watch YouTube like during my lunch, and it's like every day he like rolled out like the Otter, the F-16. What was some of the other ones? I mean, there's just the F4. And then you always do like. What I love about you, Rich, is you always do like the grass ops, because that's the first thing that guys ask. Like, how's the grass?
Right.
How's the grass?
Right.
Not a lot of people do that, but you get you typically have like 3 or 4 main videos like on that model and really like dive into it. And for nerds like me that engineer background, we want to know the ins and outs of it. You provide that, and that's awesome.
Yeah. No, I try to get it on grass as much as I can. There's 2 fields where I live. There's one that's 35, 40 minutes east of me. That's the grass field, and there's one that's 35 to 40 minutes like northwest of me. So I got to choose. One's grass, one's paved. So depending on what I got to do, and I prefer to go to the grass runway just because there's usually less people there. And I can kind of get more done there. But some of the planes, you primarily are runway. Like, you got the Phantom here, which will work off of grass, okay, but it's really more or less of, it's better on a paved runway and stuff. So, but most guys use grass. That's the thing. Most guys operate off grass. I mean, most guys don't have the benefit of a flat or paved surface or something. So I try to get it on grass. This F-16 should be okay on grass. I'm just. Our grass field in our landfill keeps flooding because of all of the rain. So sometimes I can't take it out here because it's underwater.
I can tell you F-16 does great on grass.
It does.
Which, if you've ever seen our field, it's very manicured. But yeah, that jet flies great, and I can't wait to get this one out there. I've flown my friends on our grass field, and it flies wonderful.
Yeah. I've told this story before, but when I first got into jets, I made the Viper, the F-16 from E-Flight, and then the F-4. I was like, if they all go good, I can made in the F-4, and I made them all. It was fantastic, but the F-16 has always been my go-to like fun jet. That L-39 or like F-22, it's just the 70mm is obviously smaller than the 90, so it's all about what else I want to take to the field, and that's kind of how that gets prioritized. Because to me, they all fly great. You can't pick a wrong one. But I just love the scheme because it really pops in the sky. Like, it don't matter if it's a cloudy day, if it's dusk, because you got the white top, blue bottom, red nose, red tail. So it's great.
Well, which F-16 are you flying, Dustin?
I'm flying the E-Flight, the Thunderbirds.
Oh, the same one.
And I fly it off of grass, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's I tell you, it's a cool little jet. It's very simple. The thing about it mostly is that, I mean, it's light.
Yeah.
It doesn't weigh anything. I mean, and I don't know if you saw a couple of those videos I did. One of the first couple landings I was doing, I mean, I brought it back to a quarter throttle, and it just kept going down the runway, and it's like, okay, I got to bring this back. Pretty much I was landing this, which you usually with jets don't do, but I was landing this just power off
Oh wow.
almost every land because it just kept flying, In most jets, you got to carry some power, but with this thing, if you carry almost any power, I mean, you add it if you need it, of course, but
Right.
it'll just keep going down the runway. I mean, because it does such nice high alpha, especially with an aft CG that it'll even in when you're flaring, it just keeps on going. So
Yeah, and that's one of the things when I first got it, I was playing around with because it's always better to be nose heavy, of course, but you don't be too nose heavy. And then after each round of flights, just move it back 2.5 or like maybe half of a centimeter or like a centimeter. I'd rather err on the side of caution in that, and I finally found that sweet spot. And just take a marker and just mark it on the board. Admiral is AD for me, AD 400. And it's a high alpha for days. and this is the plane that got me interested into the Mirage, because that's like a 70 millimeter airframe, but it has an 80 millimeter EDF in it. So and it's a delta wing. So it's light. I think it would be okay on short grass, kind of like the F-16 would be. But I hear that that's a real easy jet to lose orientation on. So I'm kind of holding back.
Oh, the Mirage?
Yeah, the Mirage. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it can be. Well, probably one of the other best things about this right now, a little bit of a plug though, is that this thing is on sale till the 31st.
Right.
I mean, if anybody wants one, it's like after 15% off, I think it's like $255 or something like that, and that's cheap with the receiver and the AS3X and all that stuff. And you guys know, I mean, I've never really been a fan of stabilizers. Most all my airplanes have no stabilizers in them at all. I just fly them without them. But obviously this comes with it, and I've been flying the Otter here and the Phantom. They all have the AS3X in it. Now that I've been flying them a little while, and that A10 you guys got right back there, that little one is a rocket ship. But the AS3X system, I mean, it is pretty awesome. I mean, it makes the plane a lot easier. In fact, a friend of mine told me the other day, a veteran flyer guy, he just said basically what it does is it takes the wind out. You know what I mean? It kind of just gets rid of the wind. But the thing I like to tell guys, though, is that because people ask me about using gyros and all not, and I go, well, I don't really use them that much until just recently. I've been doing all this Horizon stuff. Is that don't use it as a crutch.
Right.
I try to tell people, don't. In fact, I don't know if this is I try to tell people, don't. If you can, buy an airplane if you're learning to fly. Buy a high wing trainer or something without a stabilizer in it. Learn to fly it without all that stuff, and the key to it is just you got to have a good instructor. I mean, you can have all the fancy technology you want in the world, but it all comes down to a good instructor. So it's kind of like I tell people, hey, would you get into a full-scale airplane and try to fly it yourself? Well, the answer is pretty much no. Well, model airplane's the same thing. It flies the same way. So if you try, most guys who try to fly it themselves the first time will end up crashing. But anyway, back to the AS3X. It's for me, flying all these years, flying with it, it's like it really assists with what you're doing. You know what I mean? And it's nice to have it. But I always tell guys, start without it first. Learn to fly something else, and then when you get these things, you'll appreciate the gyro. You know what I mean? Rather than relying on it, because if you start with them, you may go to fly a plane and go, well, geez, doesn't have a gyro. I don't even want to fly it, without it. Where you really should be comfortable with it. And some planes need a gyro, or some planes really benefit from it, and some don't. Like the FMS, the Tiger Cat. Like it does not need a gyro. It's big and heavy. If you put one in it, it would fly better. It would be smoother. It would be easier. But it just doesn't need it, So
I've got my flight line F7F. I've got a Eagle A3L in it, and I'm gonna tell you, man, I can fly it in any kind of winds, and it flies like it's on rails. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
That's my Cadillac in the sky, man. Is what I call that.
Oh yeah. It's I mean, anytime you add a stabilizer, you're gonna probably enjoy it more or have fun with it more a little bit. But some airplanes, like for example, this Phantom. I have the Freewing 8-cell Phantom, and it's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. It's like a rocket ship, but I don't have a stabilizer in it. So, like every time I come into land it, I feel like I'm just like a space shuttle on re-entry. I mean, it's just like
you're gliding.
It's controllable, but anytime a crosswind or wind hits it, I feel it has an unstable. And as I'm flying this with the stabilizer, I can kind of feel that this airplane probably would be that way if it didn't have the stabilizer. I think it's just Phantoms. So I think that Freewing Phantom, I might end up putting an AS3X in it because I think it's one of those planes that would benefit from it. You know what I mean? It would benefit.
I've got one in this one actually. I've got the Admiral 600 in mine, and I love it. It does make a huge difference, and just in, like you say, keeping it level if you get any crosswind or whatever, it does make a difference in that jet.
Right. Yeah. The way I explain it to people, it's like, sure you can drive a car, but would you, if you're in the city, would you rather have power steering or not have power steering? You can still sit the car, you can still fly the plane. But that gyro just helps things out. It kind of takes the edge off.
Oh yeah.
In it, and I love it.
How did you get into this hobby, man? I mean, what brought you to this awesome community and airplanes and everything?
Who, me?
Yeah.
What is the Rich Baker story?
Well, I tell you, it's just like I mean, it's kind of just been forever. I don't even remember where the beginning was. I mean, like, it just ever since I can remember, I was always into model airplanes and spaceships and stuff and just things that fly, just anything that flew. And so I think when I was a kid, my dad bought me like a couple plastic model airplanes. And I think it kind of started with that. Then I got into balsa, like the ones that you put, you build it with wood, the Gillos, those old things, and you'd cover it with paper and dope. And so I would hand make all those, rubber powered and stuff. And then I think when I was like 10, maybe, I think I got my first like RC car, like one of those Tamiya cars, And so that's how I got the RC part of it. And then I realized, oh shit, there's RC planes, and so I started, I got into plane. Actually, I started with helicopters. I actually started flying RC helicopters first, which, if you do it that way, you actually, you got to learn. I mean, going from I think an airplane to a helicopter is probably harder. I've never done that, but going from a helicopter to an airplane was like kind of easy. So I got into RC helicopters when I was, I think, 13 years old. In fact, I used to watch the show that got me caught on helicopters was Airwolf back in the early 80s. So that was like the coolest show. And then Blue Thunder, all those kind of shows. Those things were like the coolest thing to me. And then I got into RC airplanes, I think, in college. I just, one day, we started a club in college, and then just kind of on and off. After college, I went to like flight training, full scale stuff. And I didn't have the money. I got out of RC. I just couldn't do it anymore. And then when I moved to Orlando after going through like an aviation career, getting into that, I was like, I might get back into RC, and I bought one airplane. This was back in 2001, I think, is kind of when I got back into RC again, and I bought a Great Plains Easy Sport 40. It was a glow powered model, and I flew, I must have thousands of flights on that plane. I flew it. I flew the wings, everything. I had to recover it a couple times, and all that. And that's kind of when I got back into it, was in 2000. But I've been into RC or model airplanes really for over 40 years probably. So,
You fly as well, don't you?
What's that?
You fly real planes as well too, don't you?
Yeah. Now I fly a Boeing 767, 757, 737. I flew the McDonnell Douglas MD-88s. Embraer regional jets.
What's that? That's real sad. That's sad, man. I hate it for you.
Well, I tell you what, man, it's a lot of work when you to get all your ratings and stuff, and go through that whole thing. Because when you first, you got to. Nowadays, especially, I'm civilian. I was not military, so when you're civilian, you got to put tens of thousands, now hundreds of thousands for flight training. It costs that, and then. then you got to do something like flight instruct or crop dust or do some sketchy cargo op for not a lot of money. I mean, they don't pay much. I mean, when I got my first airline job, I was flying E120 Brasilias, which is a 30-seat turbo propeller, and I was making $7.50 an hour, $7.50 an hour to fly a passenger plane with people on it. Yeah, I mean that's what people don't people saw the uniform and they say, "Oh man, you're rolling in dough or something." I'm like, "No, dude, I'm just," because you get those jobs. You flight instruct, you work for a regional although it's different today. You work for a regional airline or something like that, so you can build the time. So a major airline will look at you. That's kind of the progression of it. So. When I went to, I don't want to name the name because they may not like it, but the airline I fly for, major airline, they require thousands of hours. So when I went to work there, I had over 5,000 hours in turboprops, jets, flight instructors. I was a flight instructor for a long time.
Oh wow.
So, but it takes a lot of time and it's kind of a long road, and there's no guarantee. Like nowadays, there's only like 5 or 6, legacy airlines. There's American, United, Delta, and then there's regionals. There's Southwest, JetBlue, all those. Then there's your cargo carriers. But those jobs still, they're finite. To get to those places, you have to kind of. I think it's a third hard work. It's a third skill and experience, and the last third is just luck,
Right.
So, because you send out applications and you don't know if you're going to hear back from any of them, So,
yeah.
Back in the day, they were all paper. They were the ones you had to fill out the little bubbles and stuff, and it was like a booklet. They wanted you to fill it out. They wanted you to type it, but you couldn't put it in a typewriter, and then it all looked like, and you send it in. Now everything's online, it's easy, but that shows how old I am, man. You had to fill out the bubbles.
Hey, you aren't even as old as I am, man. Don't even go there.
With a number, I don't remember when the last time I saw a number 2 pencil.
Oh, I got tons of them in my desk, but then again, I'm a drafter, so I always gotta have number 2 pencils. Oh Lord have mercy.
So I was telling you earlier tonight, man, that I got my F-16. I just dropped a quick unboxing video today. Nothing, nowhere near like yours.
Oh, I gotta check that out. I didn't see it.
But I did do the mods that you did, the battery tray mod, which is a really good one, the nose gear steering that you did, which I really like. But as I was telling you last night, I don't know if any other guys have experienced it. It's having problems getting things to bind as far as being able to sign the safe. So if that's something you might just want to kind of touch on a little bit for some of the guys, because,
Did you get it to bind? I mean, did you get it to work?
I did not, man. I kept it off safe, and I just fly it with AS3X. I don't really care for safe anyway, so I just left mine as is. But, some other guys maybe having the same problem too. I don't know.
You're just saying that because you want me to go out there to the field so I would fly with you.
Yeah. They look good flying together, man. You know what I mean?
Dude, I'm telling you, we gotta get some video of. I'll have to bring my F-16 out. Have to get a video of us flying together. Then I got my Corsair, and you got your Spit, or vice versa. Right. That'd be cool as best to do together. But this F-16, I mean, it's really simple to put together. Like a lot of these planes are simple, but I mean, this F-16 is really simple to put together. I mean, it takes no more than say an hour.
The problem I was having, as I told Rich, was just getting the thing where I could cut safe on and off and assign it to a certain switch. I pulled both sticks to the centers. I flipped my switch. Okay. I just could not get it to do it, man.
You did do like the binding the right way.
Yes.
Okay, because you gotta do obviously, and then were you able to bind it to the point where when you plugged in your radio and then plugged in your battery and let the airplane sit there, did you see it go through the flight control checks twice?
I could flip it over and tell that it was safe because ailerons would do like this, you know what I mean? And then if you righted the plane, they went back neutral, so safe was working.
Okay.
And then if you turned it up over 25%, you could move it like this, and the AS3X was working. No? I just
Here's
couldn't. I just couldn't assign a switch. I couldn't get it to
well,
do it.
here's what I would do without changing anything that you have right now in your radio. I would
Yeah.
just go into your radio, start a new model memory. Okay,
Right.
leave the old one alone, so you're not going to disturb the old one. Just
Okay.
open up a new model memory, name it like F16 number 2 or something like that, and then go through the bind procedure with that model memory. Okay, and then when it binds up and you see the flight controls go through their checks 2 times, then you know you're in that set. And before you do anything, go ahead and move the sticks to the middle and move that switch up and down and see if it'll work with a new model memory. Okay, because then you know all your rates, all your throws, everything's at 100%. You know you're not going to have a throttle cut set, because that's another thing that can screw you up. And try it that way. And if you can get the switch to work, you can say, oh, there's something with that old model memory. There's something in there that's stopping me from doing it. And like I said, I had that happen once, and I was able to fix it by doing it. So I think I just cleared out the old model memory. And that way, if for some reason it doesn't work again, then you can just rebind it to your old memory, you know, and you have it change anything. You know, you don't screw anything up, you know. That's what I would do. That worked for me, you know.
I thought about getting up with Dave Marshall too. You know, Dave Marshall's the Spectrum receiver guru. Yeah, he knows how to program these things and switch them around and all kinds of stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
Just kind of pick his brain a little bit as well. But yeah, like I said, when I flew this jet for my friend, after I maidened it for him, the minute I took off, man, I could not wait to turn safe off because I wanted to. And so I'm looking for the switch. I'm going, man, how do you turn this damn safe off? And he said, flip the switch. And sure enough, the safe cut off, and I had full throw. Yeah, I you know, like I said, I just could not. I couldn't stand it. It was about to drive me crazy. And I know some guys like it, but I just don't care for it that much myself. I like my gyros, but that's about it.
Okay. Like I said, I would just use another model memory. You know, that's what I would do. And see if you can get it to work. You know, it should work. I mean, there's no reason it should. There's something inside of your model memory that is. I just screwed something up. There's something in that model memory. I don't know what it is, but it's keeping you from assigning that switch. So
obviously. So I tell you guys, another cool thing that, you know, with this jet that I did, and I really am glad I did, was the mod that Rich did with the battery tray, actually adding another strap. Taking the tray out and then putting the liner in, the rubber liner instead of Velcro. That was a great idea.
Right.
The biggest problem with that was getting the tray out. That was a little tricky.
You got one where they actually use glue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I got it out. I did what Rich said. I got something under it and kind of worked my way all the way around, and eventually it come up.
Yeah.
But
usually, if you can get the tray from one end and pry it up and get it to kind of peel up, that usually gets it off easier. So I had to yank pretty hard, but mine came up pretty good. And then once you foam tack it down, it's probably not going to come back up. So, and you know, like when I do stuff like this to airplanes, when I make these changes, I got to tell you, I don't really want to change anything. I'd rather just leave it all stock or whatever. And but it just seems like in fact, before I started building the plane, I was told, you know, you're going to want that battery as far back as you can, all the way to the receiver. And some guys take the receiver out, they move it all the way up front so the battery can go back even farther. But when I put the battery towards the back, I'm like, okay, I got a battery and I've got one strap all the way like here holding this thing in. I think it was here's the plane. So, you know, it was like there was one strap right here, and I'm like, man, that's all the way on the end of the battery. It's not enough. So I'm like, well, it really needs one down here. So when I looked at it, I was like, you know, I think I can notch that out if I can get the floor out. So when you do shift it back, then you got two straps. Now, if you're the kind of guy that does no high alpha flying at all, and you don't want to do any of that stuff, well, then you don't need to do that mod to the battery. You just put it under those two straps that are there. But I figured I'm going to mess around with this, so I just wanted that farther back. And then I'm trying to keep most of my batteries, you know, without Velcro, because it's just And especially if you have a tight-fitting canopy, you know, if you have Velcro here and you got Velcro in there and you put it down, I mean, it takes up some space, you know, Velcro to Velcro. And then half the time, I'm like breaking my battery floor trying to pry it, you know, out of the.
Well, that's how you get the tray out, man. You pull it out with Velcro.
And when you put this thing on shelf liner, these things are. I mean, these things are pretty pretty tough. So when you put this down on that shelf liner, it's not going anywhere, you know. So anyway, it's just.
Another thing, too, guys, that you know, we talked about last night with Rich. Rich is talking about starting his own live stream show during the week, which ought to be really good. I think a lot of you guys would definitely be tuning in for that one.
Yeah, and he just started. And he just started the RCInformer _ official on Instagram.
Yeah. The reason we called it that is because, like 8 years ago when I started, or 10 years ago, whatever it was, I started all this RCInformer stuff. I did a friend of mine helped me just start all this stuff up, and he started an Instagram page for me, and that was with an old phone number, an old email address, and it's called RCInformer, but I can't log into it. I can't. I mean, and you can't get a hold. I'm trying to get a hold of somebody at Instagram to tell them, hey, can you just delete it, okay? So I can, because I can't access it. And if I try to send a message to the phone, it sends a message to my old phone. So I'm trying to actually get a hold of the person who has my old phone number. So they'll send me the confirmation code back. Because I can't. So that's why we call it RCInformer. So yeah, but I did start an Instagram page, and we're posting. I mean, I'm putting stuff up like pretty much every day. I mean, we're trying to load. We're putting stuff everywhere. And then Twitter, we started that too. I'm not even that familiar with those two, but I'm getting used to them now. You know, I'm trying to. But I got so many pictures and media from air shows and stuff that like I never posted. So we're putting current stuff, and we're putting a lot of old stuff. So yeah, if you guys want, you know, anybody listening, you know, follow us on Instagram and Twitter as well. And you know, we're gonna have a lot of cool stuff. We have some cool stuff coming actually to the channel that you know, stay tuned for. There's some neat stuff coming. So
sweet. I look forward to it. But yeah, the guys they keep asking about. We've got some really heavy rain here in North Carolina right now between my house and Jeff's in his garage.
Okay.
So they're saying like they hear like it sounds like a jet on the runway, like kind of spooling up, ironically. But that's just the rain because it's raining that hard, and we do need it, but it's raining hard here.
Yeah, we need it rain desperately here. It was bad.
That just means we're going to have to cut the grass more often.
Guys, and we've been talking about, you know, you and Dustin made the mod for the F-14 for the plates and the battery tray and this and that. And, of course, you know, I am getting an F-14. Dustin already has one. So I'm looking forward to that and working with you guys and getting this thing set up.
Yeah,
that's going to be a project too. So those plates you guys came up with really look nice.
Yeah, they're honestly, Dustin knows this. I was trying to not make any part or anything for this plane, and when I first flew it flew great. First couple flights, I had that really shitty landing with it where I kind of hit hard and went down on the nose, and I'm like, man, that's kind of a bad landing. But even just normal, like if you want to take off on grass stock with that airplane, there's so much load on these damn struts.
Yeah, it's a heavy plane.
You know, I talked with Alpha at Motion RC, and I sent him some direct stuff about it. And I said, hey, look, I came up with this plate. Is there any way you guys might want to just incorporate this into, you know, maybe the next version? I mean, I know it costs some money. I mean, they get into the thousands or tens of thousands of dollars when they want to retool an airplane like that. I mean, so people are like, why don't they just change it? Why don't they just change it? It's like, well,
there's a lot into it.
10 or 15 grand to do those retooling changes. They got to retool and make a bigger plate, which would probably be easy. But then you got to change the foam mold.
Right. And that's the biggest cost is the mold. I mean, because that's hours and hours.
So it's a lot of tooling cost, and then they got to say, okay, well, we got to sell X amount of airplanes in order to recover all of that. So so I told Alpha, I said, I'd rather you guys do this. He's like, well, he goes, I don't think Freewing doesn't really have any plans to upgrade that. I said, okay, well, I talked to Dustin and he wants to make them, and I'm like, yeah, we can make them for everybody. And so he wanted to do it. I said, yeah, let's do it. So that's kind of, we just worked together on it, and Dustin didn't mind doing it. So you guys can actually thank Dustin because he was the one that contacted me to do this stuff. And,
yeah, it was kind of. It was kind of like a silver lining because I contacted Rich. I was like, "Hey, do you have any like drawings or CAD models?" Because I mean, this is what I did. This is what I did for a living for so many years at Caterpillar. And I was like, "Well, I was going to talk to the machine shop." And I was like, "To make these," I'm like, "They don't want to make just like 10 or 20 of them. They want to make like 2, 3, 500 of them." And so that's where it kind of, machining is not my full-time job, and so that's why it worked out for both of us and for the community in that regard. In it.
Yeah.
But I love those guys. When I sent them the video when I was at my field, like testing the plates out, and I'm bunny hopping it down. I'm literally trying to destroy this plane. Yeah. And like broke the servo, bent some strut pins. It's like the foam is fine, and they're like, "Here's my money."
yeah. It's well, and like I said, I tried to get them to change it, and they and who knows, maybe in the future they will. But but the thing is it works. I mean, I was just trying to make it tough. And the thing is that I've heard some people comment and say, well, you just got to land the plane better. It's like, well, yeah, you could maybe land it perfectly every single time, but an F-14 comes in, the way it's designed to land is with a real high deck angle, high angle of attack, and it just comes down and it contacts the runway. They don't flare or nothing. They just hit that. They try to get that third wire, and it's meant to impact the ground. I mean, that's what it's designed to do. So it really. So I'm not saying you can't flare the airplane nicely, but there's without that metal there, without that plate we have in there, they just bend back. You guys have seen it, And the real problem is when they bend back and they kind of warp that foam back there, it gets in the way of the swing wing mechanism.
Yeah. So then you start burning up your servo.
So that's why I decided we just need a flat plate all the way across. So it doesn't matter what that landing gear does. That thing's going to stay flat, so that wing can just slide over that area without binding on anything. Because the last thing you want is to sweep your wings back in flight and then extend them, and they get jammed up on this bent gear. You know what I mean? So
and I got lucky on my maiden. One of my servos for the wings, because the cool factor is once you land and you're trawling back or taxiing back, sweep the wings back. Because I swept my wings once because I've had about 4 flights on this, and then I got the end runners, put them in there, did the thrust test, and I haven't done anything since just because I've been so busy. But as I was taxiing back, one wing swept back and the other one didn't, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm so glad! I'm so glad it happened here." But
I tell you what, that airplane though. Man, that plane flies like a trainer. It flies like a glider. With those wings extended, I mean, when they're swept, it's a little different, but when they're extended, that plane flies fantastic. I mean, it's just easy. I have no gyro in mine. All those motion videos we did and all that other stuff, I've never had a stabilizer. That's one of those airplanes that it really doesn't need one. It flies so good without it, And with aileron control up and down, even though F-14s, they have no ailerons. They just have spoilers on the top of the wings that they assist the tailerons. But that plane with ailerons, man, it rolls sharp. I mean, it's just crisp. I mean, the way it just handles so good. So, what's that?
That's I don't know if you guys can hear it or not yet.
Yeah, that wind. What was that?
Yeah, that's just the rain, I think, over at Jeff's. Is it raining that hard?
It's raining here now, man. I think I don't know if it's Rich's mic might be turned up too high. I don't know.
Or like the volume on the mic might be too high.
Yeah, it seems like when he talks is when it starts happening more.
Okay, because I don't have a I'm just using the mic. I tell you what, let me try something. Hang on, let me try something else here. I might be able to change a mic real quick. Hang on. I'm gonna try a separate microphone.
All right.
I'm using the computer's microphone right now. Let me try something real quick.
So it could be a accordance with the with your webcam if it has a mic built in. It could be kind of like cross feeding each other. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Anything's
Yeah,
possible with technology. Lord,
I think that's why. Is that why you're wearing a headset though?
Well, I like wearing a headset because my wife's asleep in the other room, so she's only hearing my voice, and I can keep the volume turned down.
How about now? Is that any better?
Seems to be all right now.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Does it seem different?
Yeah, I mean, no, yeah.
All I did was plug in a lapel mic.
Okay. That's good.
So I don't know. So I didn't even know the webcam had a microphone. I thought I was using the computer mic. Oh well.
So we got a good crowd of guys in here tonight.
Yes.
We got our normal guys. We got Reckham Roy, Jackson RC Aviation, Robert Ortlip,
Hangar
Mike Kelvin.
51,
Yeah,
Dave
Tom
Air
Powell,
Marshal,
RC.
Mr. Guniak. Oh, I love his name now. Fire Booty. I'm sorry, Ray, if you've done that a while ago. I'm just noticing it now. My apologies if that's been changed for a while.
Did he just change it?
I honestly don't know. But we got
right?
yeah. Guniak
Yeah, he
Fire
just
Booty.
changed.
Oh, he did? Okay, good. I don't feel bad. If it had been like that for a week, man, I'd feel really bad. But Hamilton's Hangar, recently just met him via one of the Zoom chats last week. Great guy.
Okay.
Mike SSI, Keith Christie. There were some new guys here too. Nathaniel Pulling was one, and I saw Joe. And Joe, it just clicked that you were one of the guys that actually ordered one of the F-14 kits. So thank you for the support. I know Rich appreciates it as well. And they will be shipping out tomorrow. They're going to start shipping them out.
Okay.
I had to make
I was gonna say right before this chat, I got contacted by someone about the kits. So
yeah, I had to actually make a new. I have a special platter, if you want to call it that I actually used to make these, and I had to make a new one.
Okay.
And that kind of is what's pushed me back. But luckily, I had enough to somewhat fill some of the orders. That way, guys, I hate taking people's money and they have to wait. That's my thing.
Yeah.
I hate having to do.
Yeah,
and
don't make
I
me
tell them
wait.
up front. What's that?
I said, don't make me wait when I'm ready for mine now.
Oh wait. Sorry, we'll ship in 2 to 3 weeks.
Hey, yeah, right.
It's got to come from China.
Yeah. So you like that twin otter sitting back there, huh? I see you flew that on boats, man. That looked like a great flying plane too.
This thing is awesome, man. It's here, let me see if I can get this. Yeah, I love flying this on floats. This thing is cool. Yeah, it flies great. It's got wheels, and you can put you can fly it off of the ground, the grass. Yeah, it's or off the. I mean, it flies off the grass, of course, but the water. It's an awesome float plane. I mean, it's just
in a pretty tight area. That looked really good too, as far as how easy it was to fly.
Yeah, it was a little dark out when we did that, so I was trying to show it so you could see the lights on it and everything. But I'm impressed with this little thing. I mean, I really like twin engine airplanes, if they're prop driven or jet or whatever.
That's
and
me.
having one that you can put on floats too, and then convert it for the ground. And plus, it's tricycle gear. It's got it's easy to fly. It's not any kind of tail drag or anything. So
Right.
I just got propped up back here. Put that back. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Yeah, I like this thing. See if I can get it to stay without falling here.
Yeah, so we're starting to get that noise again. It actually stops when I think Jeff or I starts talking.
Does it come up when I'm talking?
Honestly, it's really random throughout the whole show. I've been kind of trying to see what causes it, and I'm not picking up on it. I do know that like it'll start happening when you talk, and then either Jeff or I will start talking, and it'll pretty much idle out.
It sounds it's almost, to me it sounds like, because I'm hearing it. It sounds like an air conditioning unit or something coming up. Like right now, I hear it even more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. But then it goes away.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm a sucker for twin engine planes. I've always have been, and that free wing Bronco, the OV10.
Oh yeah,
That's
that
not a
looks
plane
cool.
I really like knew about because I've only been in this for like almost 2 years, maybe. Yeah, almost 2 years, and so I yeah, no, yeah, 2 years.
Yeah,
Honestly, I
that's a
can't
cool.
remember.
That's a lot of people have been asking for a Bronco for like a long time. So that model looks pretty nice. I mean, it's I haven't seen one up close, but I'm gonna try to repair something here. Let me see. I'm gonna speculate that the sound might be coming from here. I'm gonna try something real quick. See if it goes away or gets worse. Did you notice anything different?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
it's.
one.
Oh, see now I started talking and it stopped.
Yeah,
Yeah,
quit. So,
I noticed that. I hear it coming back again. That's weird.
but your mic
Yeah,
doesn't sound as good, Rich.
What's that?
Your mic doesn't sound as good now.
yeah.
It goes.
It
Let's
might
try
be
something.
that you might just need to turn your volume down. I think it'd be the master volume.
Yeah, Josh Weaver said he might need to mute one of his mics.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if I can. Do you hear me better or worse now, or about the
I
same?
hear you.
Better.
I hear you better
A
now.
lot better.
I do.
Yeah,
Okay.
much
Let me
clearer.
Gotta
let me
fill
try
up.
unplugging this. All right. How about now? Better, worse?
Sounding good right now.
Yep, sounding good. Yes, sir.
Okay. I wonder if I can mute. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with this thing. Let's see. Speakers. Let's try this. See, because I have the TV. I did what you guys said. I put a monitor right there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
And
lot.
I've got the camera on top of it. So,
Yeah.
but I have all of a sudden the TV speakers over there are what's coming out, and I wonder if that's not interfering with the microphone up top or something. I probably need I probably need a set of headsets.
Either that or just
Yeah.
turn your volume down. It may be
Yeah.
like picking up and interfering with each other.
Yeah.
How about that? Can you hear me better, worse?
Yeah, you sound good.
You sound good. It's one of those things that we'll just have to.
Now, Dustin, you're getting echo now.
Yeah, I think that's from Rich.
I lowered my volume a bit. Here, let me try something else. How
Yeah.
about now? Better or worse?
Yeah, you wanna mute your speakers, so then that way don't.
Hey,
Yeah.
Skip, what's up? Give Skip a blue wrench, Dustin.
Oh, what's up, Skip Built? What's going on, buddy? Long time no
How you doing
see.
tonight, man?
Hope you doing
Good to
alright,
see you,
man.
Yeah.
Chris Christie, no, I do not have audio gain turned on.
Here, let's see. I turned it on mute, but I don't think you guys could hear me then.
Yeah, well, you sound good right now. And,
Well, the mute is the mute your your like your playback speakers.
Okay. What I did is I lowered that a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
That should
lowered
be
it.
good.
Echo in now, so that's good too.
I probably need a set of headsets, is what it is.
Or just get you some ear pods, like little Apple earbuds.
Oh, what do you got some in there?
I don't use anything.
You don't use anything. Okay, so all right. Well, that's why I didn't use anything today, because you said
Yeah,
you didn't use
okay.
anything.
Yeah, I just had these because I did a lot of when I was at CAT, did a lot of like VPN meetings and stuff like not VPN Skype meetings because we use Skype, and so we always had to have our headsets on because you always had a guy next to you,
Yeah.
and the cubicles and stuff. So I've got these. These are USB, so it's just one plug does it all, and they've always been my go-to for that. But yeah, wow, that's amazing. I didn't realize that. I've been in this hobby. Come this October would be 2 years. I mean, time absolutely flies.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so what's
Lord.
coming up? What's
So,
coming
so
up?
you've only been doing RC for 2 years?
Yes,
Who,
sir.
Me? Oh, Dustin, yeah.
Okay,
No, I've
cool.
been doing it for about 10 now.
Well, when I was a kid, my best friend growing up, God rest his soul, um, I used to play semi-pro paintball. I was on a paintball team. We traveled up down the Eastern Seaboard doing that. But he played hockey. I got him to paintball. He got me into hockey, and him and his dad flew balsa planes. Went to the field with them. Next thing you know, I saved up my money and got a uh, one of those Tower Hobby trainers. And my dad didn't know nothing about flying. At this point, I had uh, Flight Simulator 98 and 2000, and I would fly all the time on that game. And I would take the wings off. I was scared to fly it. Dad was too. So I'd take the wings off, and it basically would be like an RC car, and I would just because I lived on a farm. I grew up like on a farm, so we had the land. But this is back like when AOL was around, so airfields didn't have websites, and it was kind of hard to find out. And of course, the hobby store was kind of like Hobbytown USA, and not the people there didn't really know anything about airfields. So
Okay.
I never got to fly it because my dad wouldn't have moved the go-kart one day, and in order to move it, you had to crank it up. Well, the throttle was stuck on it, and when he cranked it up, it ran right over my plane and broke it all to pieces. And then about
Starting to start building again. See, there you go, man.
well, it was one of those moments where it's like my dad looked at it and it's kind of like, sorry. He's like, I'll go get you a new toy or something to that effect. Because he felt bad, and it wasn't his fault, right? It was the only trouble I've ever had, or he's ever had, with a Honda engine. I never forget it. It was a Honda 10 horsepower engine, and but no, I got back into it because I on Facebook saw that Holly Springs was having like a fly-in, and their club is part of the field that the community uses. And so when they have this festival, kind of like a carnival, they have like a buddy box. And I went out there and like buddy box, and the guy was like, "Yeah, I can see you flew before." I'm like, "Man, I haven't. Last time I flew was like Flight Simulator, and that was like back in 2000, 98." And that's what planted that seed. And it was like a few days later, I got me the Carbon Cub, the yellow and gray one, and it's been downhill ever since.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's fun. I tell you what. Unfortunately, we're going to be lucky to have flying fields in the future.
Yeah.
Right.
With all of this FAA and drone stuff going on, I mean, it's not looking good. They said all this process was going to take like 2 or 3 years, and they're already getting ready. They've already appointed some group or something to who's going to lay out all the rules and stuff. And this basically comes down to the FAA and a lot of groups using drone safety as the excuse. That's
Right.
the alibi. I mean, there is some danger to not model airplanes, but drones
Right.
flying up in the National Airspace System and getting away the airplanes, full-scale planes. I mean, I've encountered some myself, but that's really not what's going on. They're using that as an excuse. What's really happening is they want to usher in commercial drone operations, whether it's Amazon delivering a package or Uber. I mean, they've got 4-6 passenger full scale drones to carry passengers all over the place. So now they can't, this is me talking in my own speculation, but they can't do that if there are flying sites everywhere. So most controlled airspace starts at 400 feet above the ground in a lot of areas. So and normally that's where we fly RC. That's why in the AMA it says you won't fly your airplane above 400 feet, because that's where controlled airspace most of the time starts. But what the FAA wants to do is they want to have these drones. There's no doubt they want to create low altitude airways and for these drones and Uber and all this e-commerce, all this going everywhere. In order to do that, what they have to do is they have to seize from the ground up to 400 feet, where we
Right.
often fly RC or do whatever else we want to do. So just imagine this. I know in the regulations it says somewhere, or this notice of proposed rulemaking, where it says that a year, or I think it was a year or 12 months after the start, when this law is put into place, there can no longer be a new field created. Ever. Okay? Now, I read that and I'm like, man, why would they do that? Well, the only reason that I can think of is, imagine if they were to create a low altitude airway structure around, and then my flying field that I fly at the Brevard County landfill, let's say they're using all that space, and hey guys, we got to kick you out.
Yeah.
Well, then we got to say, okay, well, we're going to start up a new field over there. And they're going to go, well, you can't.
Right.
Because there's an airway that runs through there. Now, they don't want to go changing their airways and airspaces so we can have a model airplane field. So the way that they do it is they say, okay, everybody that has a model airplane field, tell us where it is, and we're going to create a FRIA, those zones. So we're going to create that, and then you can fly your airplanes there. Everywhere else, so they want to designate that and set that in stone. Then they're going to say, okay, we're going to build airways around that. So you guys have model airplane fields and you can fly where you want. But they're not accounting for the fact that sometimes you have to move a field or you want to create a new one. But they don't know, none of them care about that. Amazon, the FAA, FedEx, all these companies, Uber, whoever wants to profit from this airspace, they don't want to.
The most money wins.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly it. You've got this drone advisory committee, and people are like, oh, well, yeah, they got a committee of all of these different groups that are on there, and it's like I've learned that committee isn't formulated by people that volunteered. They're formulated by a committee of people that paid.
Ah.
They paid to be on the drone advisory committee, so they're going to advise on what's best for them and what makes them profit. And unfortunately, model airplanes, model aviation, drones, it's all going to suffer from it. And the problem we have is there was only like 50,000 submissions or something with the AMA over this stuff. And the problem is you got a lot of guys that fly at a field that's been there for a long time, and a lot of them aren't even aware of this going on. And so they're fat, dumb, and happy flying their RC planes at their fields. For whatever reason, the AMA hasn't gotten the message out to all the members, I guess, or something. And one day, they may be in for a rude awakening when all of a sudden they say, hey, we got to put a freeway through your flying field. Ah, crap. All right, well, we're going to put one over there. And the FAA is going to say, you can't do it. We got a drone airway going through there, so you can't build one ever. So that's and the big problem with all this is that it's people like us who are doing model aviation. It's the drone guys, the guys that are actually working on drones, building their own drones and flying their own drones, that are sort of driving the innovation that has made it possible for these guys to now take over the airspace and use it for profit. So they're killing their own innovation. I mean, maybe they're not going to need it anymore, but they're basically killing the groups, us, the drone people, whatever, that got the technology to this point where now it can actually be used for profitability. And now they just want to take it away. All these entities, they want it. It's a power grab. They want to grab all of it, and it's a big theft of freedom. They're just stealing the airspace to use for themselves. And I don't care if they use it for drones or doing whatever, e-commerce, whatever the heck they're going to do it. But they really need to allow for future development of fields, or fields need to move if they're willing. But they don't seem to want to do that. They just want to steamroll. I mean, this is basically eminent domain is what they're doing.
Right.
They're saying, hey, we need to steal this, and you don't need to fly your model airplane. And we got tons of kids and stuff who are, they're stuck on tablets, and they're looking at stupid videos and doing whatever they're doing, and they're not out there building a plane or building a rocket or something. I used to do rocketry when I was a kid and all that stuff. So all that stuff is now being suppressed, and you know, we're just all we're doing for kids now is just building them soccer
Video
fields.
games. Video
Now,
games.
yeah, now,
There's soccer fields everywhere.
If you're into coding, you're in the right profession. You know what I mean?
yeah. I was gonna
Yeah.
say is if this really takes place and really develops and steamrolls everybody like within say the next 5 years, might need to start coming out with that was it the EMP gun? Right? Doesn't shoot a projectile, but shoots
Right.
enough to really scramble something up, right?
Well, yeah, but you don't want to. You don't want to EMP an Uber drone though. You know what I mean with people. You know.
Oh, I didn't like him anyway. That was my second cousin. Ah.
Well, but here's
Little Johnny.
Here's the thing. I really don't know if it's even gonna work. I mean, because if you have a drone, you know, flying over, you know, intersections or something, and I mean, I watch. You can watch drone videos, RC drone videos, all day long, where those things are falling out of the sky left
Right.
and right. And I'm thinking, if you have a passenger drone, all you need is one to fall out of the sky, and they're going to be like, "That's it. We're not doing that anymore." You know. So I mean, I've flown a lot of full-scale airplanes, and there has been a few instances I can remember where, you know, the automation in the airplane would have killed us all.
Right.
Oh wow.
I was not there to turn it off. Now that's not a daily occurrence, but it happens sometimes where the automation starts doing something, starts turning the airplane or diving the air or doing something weird. It's not that common, but it happens. That's why there's two pilots up there to turn everything off and just fly the plane and do what you need to do with it. So I can't imagine, personally, I can't imagine getting in a drone, you know, with no pilot in it to fly somewhere. I mean, the closest thing that human beings do like that is you know, getting on a rocket or a space shuttle and flying into space. I mean, you're not flying that you're relying on automation, but that's pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, flying up in a rocket into space is a dangerous proposition. So, and honestly, if I can drive my car somewhere or get on a bus with a driver, I'm going to do that before I get in a drone, you know, and trust this machine, you know, to fly me somewhere. And again, it only takes one. I think like 2 years ago in Arizona, they were doing the driverless car thing.
Teslas and stuff.
Yeah, they were testing it, and they had a guy in the car, you know, in case something happened. But the automated car ran over someone anyway, killed him. I'm like, well, what good was it happening to that guy in the car? It killed him, and that was it. That was the end of that program. It stopped right there. I don't know if they're doing it again or testing it again, but
well, I do know that some drones have been active for like hospitals transporting organs and supplies and like lab work. And Ball Hatcher, he mentioned here in Wake Med here in Raleigh, Central part of North Carolina, that Wake Med, they're a very big hospital chain, and he's saying that they do that, taking drones to deliver samples to the lab. And there was a thing on Fox News. It was the earlier part of this year, but before the whole Rona came out, where they did that. I believe it may have been in not Dallas, but in Texas somewhere. That they used a drone to deliver organs.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of great uses for drones. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have drones doing things. I mean, drones are awesome for what they do. It's
I'm just saying that that process is kind of already evolving into that, right?
It is.
At the very least, like Amazon, because Amazon, I mean, you look at the amount of money that they just roll in. I mean, it's just.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy to think about how that all came about, but that's very very possible, because now you don't have to pay 10 guys to cover X amount of square miles. Now you just charge a battery and upload a flight log.
Yeah. Well, it's happening.
We got James Burlich in here tonight, guys, from Ocean RC. Just wanted to give him a big hello. He said he wasn't going to type everybody's name.
What's up, James? But yeah, we do have some questions.
Okay.
I know that Mike was asking. Mike Keller was asking, "Do you ever crash?"
Me?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was like, "Where's your crash videos at?"
Well, actually, it's kind of funny. I I've actually been compiling like a blooper reel, you know.
Uh-huh.
So, and I don't crash that often. Usually when I do, it's like a total catastrophe, you know. Not always, but I'm putting together a blooper reel where I have mishaps and like for example that F-14 video I did. I showed that really horrible landing I did where I tore the nose gear off the plane, and then even this F-16, I had that in there where I went off the field. I went out, so you know I show some of that stuff, but I mean you know, I don't have it happen that often, but I do have some wrecks. I mean, just ask James Air Motion, he knows. So I did, for example, I did when I was at Joe Knoll, was it Joe Knoll or Knoll in the Fall last year? I had that Starfighter out there, first flight. I did the maiden flight of the Starfighter. You know, at Joe Knoll, and it flew beautifully. I almost never have. In fact, I don't even remember when I've ever had a maiden flight have a crash. But that plane, it flew beautifully. Took off, went around the pattern several times. It was flying great. I was pumped. I mean, like everybody was there. And then I went around base to final. I was turning one more time, and then all of a sudden it just dove. It rolled and it dove on me. I'm pulling back now. And it went in the ground. James filmed it and everything, so he could probably show that if he wants to. But what happened in that case was, you know, the elevator horn. I took a picture afterwards. The tail never even touched the ground. It was all the front end of it and all.
Drill bit into the ground.
The horn had pulled out of the elevator. It just there wasn't enough glue or something. I checked it ahead of time and I thought it was okay. In fact, Jeremy Solt even said, "Hey, check that elevator horn. Make sure it's in there." And so I checked it. It seemed like it was firm, but clearly, I mean, I took a picture afterward. It had just pulled out.
Oh wow!
It's not a very good. It's not a very good horn. It didn't have a lot of contact surface area. It didn't have a lot of glue. So you know, and then I hear later, you know, George Baker. He's like, "Oh yeah," he goes, "That's a known problem on that plane." I'm like, "Well, why did y'all tell me that?" Like, he put like an FMS horn with screws, so I would have done that. I may get the plane going again, but it got kind of beat up. So, but yeah, I mean, I have crashes. People have seen it. Actually, my first F-14, yeah, it's up there. My first F-14, it crashed at one of the Joe Knolls or Knoll in the Fall too. Unknown reason. I could not figure out why. I came around a corner. And it just I pulled back on the stick and it just did nothing. It went in sideways and it got scraped up, and so I speculated that was probably either the stabilators had stalled out the elevator servos or something, because the elevator servos were not. And then I put D85s, the new one. I put D85s in the tail, and I never had a problem. So it could have been a brownout. It could have, who knows? Guys were yelling at me when that happened. They're going, "Yeah, man, guys have been browning out down there." And I'm like, all right, well, anyway. So yeah, I mean, I have crashes. I have some freaking public crashes. I was at CEF. I don't know, 4 years ago, whatever. I was demoing. What was I doing? The whole crowd was there and everything, man. You know, I crashed. When I crashed big, man. I was demoing a Viper jet, like a 90 millimeter, and I took off. I was tearing around. Then I went up, came down. I started pulling out of this dive, and as I was pulling down, the plane kind of rolled on me, and it caught me off guard, and I snagged the wingtip, and it just kind of slid in. So, you know, yeah, I mean, I've crashes. People have seen them. I mean, you know, so, but not that often. I mean, you know, I don't know. I mean, the other thing too is, you know, if you make a video and you say, "Hey, crash video," you know, or, you know, fire or something, you know, everybody watches it too. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I guess it's a good way to get hits. So I guess maybe my blooper reel, maybe that'll be a huge hit when I put it out. You know, we'll see. So.
Vince, have you got coming up since everything's been kind of canceled? I know you had mentioned that you were going to go to the Boozers fight. And I think that's the 21st of November. I think James had mentioned going.
It's a week before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, should be a lot of good guys there.
Yeah.
It'll be a good time.
I mean, I'm gonna plan to go for, you know, the full 2 or 3 days or whatever it is. I mean, it's only an hour from where I am, so I'll probably bring all this all this stuff, all the Horizon stuff. I'll probably bring my F-14. I'll bring my HSD Viper jet. I'll bring probably my Hobby Zone MiG. I mean, I'll bring a bunch of stuff down there. I may get a hotel room and stay, and I may rent, like you guys were saying, I might even rent a little RV or something, just to stay there at the field and fly all day. And I don't know if they allow night flying there, but I'm going to plan on it, especially because there was no Joe Knoll.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't have it here. I just got the Model Aviation magazine. I flipped the page and it goes, "Come to Knoll in the fall in October," but that's been canceled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So everything's canceled. So that show, that event in November, that might turn out to be like,
Big.
Joe Knoll in the fall, Seth, everything all rolled into one. Top Gun, because a lot of Top Gun people will be down there. So unless the COVID virus stuff gets crazy, then but I think by then, even now that stuff is, to me the virus, this thing's a scam, man. I got to tell you, it's real. There's no doubt. I'm not saying that people aren't getting it. They are. But when you do the mathematics on it, there is less, it's about a 0.04% death rate in this country. 0.04.
Well, it's a 99.6% recovery rate. Hey, if I can take those odds to Vegas, I'll leave tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is clear that they are overinflating what this is. It's serious. It's not a joke. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but they are clearly, overinflating what this thing is, and a lot of people are losing their jobs, their lives. People are in
their livelihoods.
depression.
Oh yeah.
People have psychological issues over this whole thing. That's it's crazy. It's just and they're doing it for they're doing it for a lot of reasons,
Yeah.
So
Not to put on my my tin hat. And this is all I'll say on it. It's amazing this happened on election year. I've got a few friends, including myself, that we got and had like the same symptoms as this back in like November time. We were sick as a dog for like 2 weeks. We recovered, bounced back, went to the doctor, said it's a cold. And I've had colds before. I'm like, this is a little different. But hey, you know what? I'm diabetic, and some stuff can be different. I'm not taking that away, but it's election year. All the other presidents before Trump, like the guy or hate the guy, whatever, he is not bending over to China. He's not.
Oh yeah.
Reagan, Bush, both Bushes, Bill Clinton, they all did, and now, they don't like that, and they don't want another term of Trump. But
it's all really questionable. And I watched a video the other day of Anthony Fauci back in 2017.
Yeah, I saw that.
You see that thing, man, where he's like, hey, the next administration, or it's gonna be dealing with a surprise pandemic. I'm like, well, if you're telling us, then it's not a surprise. You know what I mean? You seem to know something, and I guess he's saying that he's predicting it based on some kind of 100-year flu cycle or something. But I'm like, no. Yeah. Well, apparently he was involved with I don't know if it was Bill Gates, Obama, a lot of folks that funded that Wuhan lab to study coronavirus. That's not a joke.
Yeah.
That's the reality. And then he gives this speech about this. I'm like, well, how the hell? It sounds almost like you've got this all planned out or something. You can't help but look at these facts and go, man, that's kind of creepy. Plus the hospitals. The hospitals. Apparently, a lot of hospitals I've been hearing are under investigation for fraud because
they got paid more money. If it got called on the death certificate as coronavirus.
Here's what one of our doctors told us the other day. He said, look, this is legit. I have a lot of friends who went to go get COVID testing. And so they filled out the application, name, address, phone number, social security number, all this crap, submitted the application, and then they went and waited in line to get tested for COVID-19. So after about an hour, they're like, heck with this. I'm not standing around, getting out of here. They take off, and then 2 days later or something, they get a thing in the mail, and it goes, tested positive for COVID. It's like, I took the test.
True story. That happened to a good friend of mine. No joke. That happened to a friend of mine. He goes, I didn't believe it until it happened to me.
Yeah. It's and you can't,
Well, that's like somebody was showing a video the other day, and it said if you go on Google and you type in any number and put new cases behind it, it's going to come up and say that this many new cases came about today. Doesn't matter what number you put in. So that's the thing. I think there's definitely a lot of media play. There's a lot of a lot of bad things going on with this whole thing, and I think it's a way. It's all about divide. If we can have political divide, religious divide, racial divide, it's just the more divide and the more controversy things can stir right now. And have you heard the new thing now that they're getting ready to release about UFO sightings and things like that?
Oh yeah, I've heard about all that.
No, what was about that?
Oh yeah,
I haven't heard that.
I've heard that's legitimate. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard it's pretty real. I mean, like that stuff's been going on for a while, you know.
Yeah.
Wait, so wait, give me the skinny. What's this about UFO sightings?
Well, there's been some sightings going on, and they showed it on the news the other day. This isn't anything secret. I've been watching it the last couple of months, and they had this gun camera view from an F-18 Hornet who was out there chasing these objects, and they're like, holy crap, those things are, and they were radically changing directions, and they're like, now this is some serious stuff. This is not, and then they tracked out in the distance 40 or 50 or 100 of these things all out there cruising around, and they're like, these are real, whatever the heck they are. And I guess, typical Area 51 stuff. I mean, they're saying the government's known about all this, and it's all like time travel and, time displacement and all this other BS. But, I don't know. Apparently it's getting ready. I've heard they're getting ready to announce some stuff that is kind of real and scary. But I don't know. I don't know. That's just stuff I hear. It could be all BS,
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's just like more turmoil that can be started right now, and it's really sad because, to me, in from where I live in North Carolina, I don't see the racial issues here that are trying to be portrayed. And that being the case, my child, myself, we don't see color, and of everybody, and that being the thing, you have, I personally, I don't believe it's a racial thing. I believe it's a good versus bad. And this gives people right now the opportunity that are bad. If you're bad, you're just bad. And it gives people that want to be bad right now the potential to show their true colors. And it's just sad that people can't come together and live and let live and love one another and just be. You know what I mean? Everybody just needs to be,
Yeah.
Well, it's like it was like I don't know if you guys saw it. I follow a lot of military style groups, and basically they had this. I think it was in Houston. Yeah, I believe it was in Houston or Austin in Texas over the weekend. Had a gentleman. He was a Black Lives Matter protest. White guy. He was kitted up, trying to look like he's Spec Ops. Had a slung, had an AK. He was open carrying. That's his legal right in Houston. And he said nobody will do anything because they're a bunch of bleep, right? Well, a car was trying to get through the crowd, trying to make a right-hand turn, and the crowd was moving away from the car, but I guess maybe not fast enough, so the car was beeping the horn. I guess he took that as a threat. He pointed that AK at the driver. He didn't realize the driver was armed. The driver dropped him. And
I heard that. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and I'm just like, you can't go out there with a alpha mentality when you have a Charlie style mentality. But that was really just stupid on his part. I hate that he got killed. I hate it for him. I hate it for his family. But it's you play stupid prizes and to be dressed up like that. Like, look, I conceal carry every damn day of the week.
Everybody just needs to fly a damn airplane, man. That's what we need.
Fly an airplane, support your local hobbyists, and drive some RC cars.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so busy with RC stuff, man. I don't have time to go out and riot.
Saying, everybody just needs to get together and fly planes, have fun, help kids, just have a great time. That's what it's all about, man. Just enjoy yourself.
Yeah, and this is like I've been in a lot of hobbies. I really have. And this hobby by far is one of the best. This hobby
Oh, yeah.
and the professional, wow, precision rifle, or PRS,
Oh,
is
yeah. Yeah.
is by far the best. Um,
Yeah.
and I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's like I got a really good friend that I work with. We have different political views, and it's obvious. But when we talk about it, and it's rare, but when we talk about it, we have a mutual respect for each other, and
Yeah.
it's like we can actually talk, and that is how you see other people's views, and that's how you learn.
Yeah.
Just by
Yeah.
calling them names and just being just
Yeah.
mean, you don't get
Yeah.
nothing from it. Both people just leave just pissed off and mad at each other,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it does nothing no good.
Well,
But
you got to talk in order to find common ground.
right,
If
absolutely.
you don't do that, you don't. And I know a lot of folks that we start talking to them. They're like, I'm not going to discuss this. I don't even want to go into it. And it's like, well,
Hmm.
if you don't go into it, we're never going to reach any kind of common ground. We're never
Right.
going to solve anything. If you just want to think that you're right and not discuss it with me, So usually people get angry when you throw facts at them. That's when it all ends. They're like, I just, oh, it's not. Yeah, I'm not talking to you about it anymore. I'm not going to do this. Or they start insulting you. Then when they start insulting you, it's like, okay, well,
Yeah,
then
just
there's
nip it
nothing.
in the bud. Mm-hmm.
They got,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I'll see a
so
post like on Facebook, or not Facebook, but like Instagram, and I'll reach out to the person, and I'll be like, I'll write like some like just short. I'm like, hey, I'm not trying to argue, but because my personality is very blunt, I'm not trying to argue. I'm just trying to have a discussion. Like, I want to see your point of it, and I want to try to learn from you. And honestly, about 8 out of 10 times, they respond back, and we have a good dialogue. But then the other two times, it's like I get the like middle finger emojis and like f you, f you, f
yeah,
you, like repeatedly. I'm
yeah,
like, oh, well,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
cute.
Unfortunately, right now there's a lot of hatred out there.
Yeah,
People
and
there's
sad.
just a lot of haters out there, and they don't want to talk about it, or they just want to tell you what they think, and then you say, well, have you thought about this? And then they get angry at you, and it's like, well, so I think the biggest problem, the one problem we have in this country that would probably, I don't know how you fix it, but the one thing that would solve the majority of our problems is really just education. If we
Hmm.
just had started educating people better, that's what it's all about. And there's a lot of folks out there that they hear some information and they spit it out to you, and you're like, well, did you know that this happened? Did you know? Yeah, but that's not. It's like, well, no, that really happened, and they just, you can't. Once you start throwing facts, people just, and the problem is people just believe what they hear. People believe everything on the internet or anything they hear on the news, and the news nowadays is really more of an entertainment channel. It's really not about factual things that are happening. Like, you've seen, I don't know whether it's CNN or MSNBC or something, where, there's a guy, with a rain suit on. He's out sort of like in a hurricane. Like winds are blowing. He's up to his waist in water. They're filming him. And you see these two guys, and he's holding himself sideways, and there's two guys behind him just walking
Yeah.
past.
Yeah.
Okay, and then or the guy, the cameraman, or the guy, the news reporter, he's got a mask on, and he's got this just hazmat suit on, and he's saying, yeah, coronavirus is taking over, and the guy walks behind him and goes, hey, your cameraman doesn't have a mask on.
Yeah.
And the cameraman has nothing on. I mean, the
Right.
cameraman has no mask. So it's like, okay, this is a staged, newscast or whatever that they're
Hmm.
trying to make people believe that they're like over sensationalizing it,
Right.
by falsifying the information we're looking at. And it's clear when you see this, you're like, okay, this isn't even, there's nothing of even value to get out of this thing. I mean, this guy's acting like he's in a hurricane, and there's these two guys in flip-flops walking behind him, and they're looking at the camera guy, they're laughing at the whole thing. They're like, hey guys, it's not
Yeah.
that bad.
Well,
So
what's funny
when
is
you
they had a
see,
hurricane in North Carolina, and this woman was in a canoe, and she's acting like she's paddling around. And what you see in the distance, you see two good old country boys and waders, and the water was probably like right below his shin, or excuse me, right below their knee, and they're walking, drinking a beer, and they're pointing and laughing at her, and then they switch like instantaneously back. And then of course other news media picked up on it, and of course was like, look at this. That was very funny.
Yeah, it's kind of like I've lost faith in like watching any news. Actually, Denzel Washington said it the best. He said, if you don't read the paper, he goes, you're uninformed. He goes, if you read the paper, you're misinformed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, anything you read or watch, a lot of it is just misinformation. It's whatever they want their narrative to be. That's what they show. And it doesn't matter what news it is. I mean, but you just can't trust it. You got to look at events. You got to kind of think for yourself, which a lot of people can't do.
Mm-hmm.
You got to think for yourself and say, does that really make any sense? Does that really make any sense what that guy just said? I'm like, half the time, how does he know that? How can he say that? How can he, So, I don't know. If we just had more educated people, like this girl that posted this thing today, about percentages of, she put a thing up, percentages of each state. And she said, like, for example, I don't know, it was North Carolina maybe, some of these other Florida, where he said, okay, there's been 1,600 deaths and, 20 million people or whatever it was, or 7 million people. So that transcribes to a 0.02% death rate or whatever. And when you look at all that, you're like, man, this thing is, compared to any other thing, it's not as deadly as they're saying it is, but they're saying, hey, it's a pain. Everybody has to put their masks on and all. And the masks are just to make everybody feel good. They're not even...
Right, and like my thing is too is like with mask. My thought with mask, and people may agree with me, hey, and that's fine. I'm diabetic. By the CDC standard and the Surgeon General, I'm at high risk. I have worn a mask, but that was like going to Six Flags. I've worn a mask out of respect for when I had to wear a mask, right?
Sure, yeah.
But the masks, like these cloth masks, even the CDC says they do not work because the virus itself is so small, the cotton is like so big, and I'm like, this is why you have different levels of filtration. Like on my machine, I've got different levels of filtration on my CNC machine, from 250 microns all the way down to 20 microns. And I'm like, why? Because obviously stuff passes through the 250 microns there to get the big stuff. And so my whole thing about it, I'm like, if you think you have to wear a mask to feel, how can I say this?
Well, it feel better. It makes everybody feel good.
Right, but my thing is like, if you think something's wrong with you where you need to wear a mask, like you think you may have it or you may be sick, then why the hell are you outside? Stay at home.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, it's,
with your pyramid of toilet paper.
Well, since you're talking about filtration, I mean, the CDC and the World Health Organization, their studies all said that wearing a cloth mask actually puts you at greater risk for infections, because all that stuff festers in that mask. And when you see somebody in a hospital, they got an N95 mask on, they're in there with a patient, they put it on, they use it, when they walk out, they throw it out, it's gone. Because you can't wear it over and over again. You can't wash it. It loses its effectiveness. So you need to keep changing it. But the cloth masks do nothing. That's what the CDC and the World Health, they said it was worse wearing a cloth mask than not wearing anything. The only thing that it does do is if you sneeze. If you sneeze, it'll prevent you from projecting stuff. So that's okay. But again,
that should be common sense.
They're in their cars. They got a mask on. They got their gloves on, and they're in their car by themselves. Windows are closed, and they're driving. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? It's just people just don't understand when you need to wear it. I've seen people at the airport with their mask on, and they're getting ready to sneeze, and they pull their mask off before they sneeze, so they don't sneeze in their mask.
Wow. Well, it's like
and that's the one reason you want to have it.
Right, and like the thing too is, I saw a guy at Lowe's eating chips while he was standing in line. He was gonna pay for the chips, he was getting some other stuff, but he had gloves on, and he was eating chips. I'm like,
with the glove.
Right, but the thing that really pisses me off about this whole deal is, you can look this up. I think this was in Kentucky. I know we like stopped talking about RC. We back on track, but I'll say this. The government overstepped in this sense. I believe it was COVID house arrest, where a lady in Kentucky, yep, just pulled it up real quick. In Kentucky, she went and got tested. She was positive, and the health department said, "Hey, sign this paper." She wouldn't sign it. She went home, and she was going to quarantine herself with her husband and her kid. Well, the health department, along with the local law enforcement, showed up on her door and said, "You're under house arrest. Here's your ankle monitor," and made them wear an ankle monitor because she wouldn't sign these papers. They never went into detail like what these papers were, but like that is an overreach by all regards of it. And she was like, "Hey, I was gonna self quarantine." She's like, "We already did it for 2 weeks because people told us to, and we did."
Yeah.
But oh man, what a cluster!
Crazy.
And I promise
It's gotten
you,
out of hand. It is.
and after the election, I would put $50 on it. By January or February, it'd be something else. Murder hornets.
Well, no. Well, the bottom line is it's going to be gone right after the election.
Yeah.
Whatever happens during the election, the COVID's going to be gone because it's not going to, it's just not going to matter anymore then. So then it'll all stop, So
I just hope that those murder hornets, they're like.
Then we can all buy new planes and fly more planes.
That's right.
Hey,
Well,
you get that stimulus check, you got to stimulate the economy.
You were saying I'm launching all these videos and Instagram and all. Well, I'm doing all that stuff because I can. I haven't flown much. I go to work every couple of weeks now, it seems like, or something, or not even that. So I've got time. That's the thing, is when you got time to do this stuff, lately over the last, I'd say over the last 3-4 years, I returned to work after a long medical leave, and I haven't had time. But now it's like I got all this time, so I'm working on. Next up, I got the air tractor. I've already filmed it and everything, so I'm gonna have an air tractor unboxed and set up and all that. And I got some cool videos of that. I'm gonna try and put it on floats too, because it's got a float kit for it. So.
Oh, sweet! I didn't know about that.
I got the P51, the Horizon Hobby 1500 millimeter. That P51, I got videos of that coming out. And then like the SU30, you saw that. That's you've seen those, so I'll have that out. Which this thing is awesome. Holy crap!
Massive.
It's big. So I was at. I don't know if I told you this. I went to when I went to Hangar 18. He has Brian has his hanging from the ceiling, and I'm like, I did not realize. I knew it was big, but I didn't know how big. And I'm like, that's a monster. I love the size of it.
But the thing is the fit and finish of that model. I mean, the wings. I'm going to do an assembly guide, which is almost stupid for me to do because it literally, the parts fit together with precision. Everything screws together well. The only thing that you glue on is that little tail cone piece. But I'm not even going to glue. I put magnets on mine already, just so. I've seen a couple guys do that with the mag. But this plane, man, holy crap! This thing goes together. I haven't put it together yet. It's actually sitting on my floor over there. But I'm getting ready to do the assembly of it. Man, what a nice model! Very highly detailed.
I mocked mine up one night for our show, and I'm actually going to put the raised fiery booties in it as well.
Okay.
I got those sitting here on the table too to put in there.
Yeah. I'll probably put some of those in there as well. So yeah, it's Ray's stuff is nice. He's got a nice little afterburner kit in there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's I got a couple videos of that on my channel. I know I did the F-18, the F-14. So, and I'll probably do a video of this too. When I put the afterburners in this, I think I'll have a set for that. I think. So I'll have to talk to Ray about that. But yeah, man.
Sorry, I was gonna say, well, one, guys, if you have any questions for Rich, let me know. But, Racer, sorry, I meant to respond to your question. No, I didn't play ice. I'm in Central North Carolina. I played roller and I coached roller. I coached the kids from 5 to 15. There was like 3 leagues, but then I also played with the adults. But yeah. Other question was from Joseph Youngblood, can't talk tonight. Jeff, have you flown the A6 from Motion?
I have not.
I have not. A friend of mine has it, and he's flown it. I think Nate that flies with Gooniacs got it as well. It seems to be a good flying jet. It's got a couple of quirks to it, from what I've seen. It tends to stall left if you get enough altitude, kind of full power. It kind of wants to drop left wing. That's really all I've seen. Seems to be, pretty good flying jet from what I've seen.
Yeah,
Right on.
it looks cool. Hey, how many guys you got watching this right now?
We've the highest we had was right at 60, 62.
Okay.
As the night's getting older, they typically start to teeter off. We're at 43 right now. I
Yeah.
want to answer this. I don't want to get political. I just want to answer this because, sorry, I know you're a younger gentleman. I think you're 16, 18. Um, People will say that they want a revolution, they want a civil war, and by all means of the stretch of the imagination, civil war in America is by far the worst bleepity
Yeah.
bleep thing ever. Period.
Yeah.
End of period.
Yeah.
To happen.
Yeah.
That's the one thing we do not want in this
Yeah,
country. Because the only thing that's
yeah.
going to do, you already have a big bonfire, and you're just throwing napalm on it.
Yeah.
Go look
Yeah.
at do your history on the Civil War, and you can see as far as how it tore tore America apart, and then as we go into the Reconstruction era of America during that time period.
Yeah, because it would, it would be a shooting war. I mean, it would turn into that. I mean,
Yeah. Hughes, you would have a breakdown of military assets, police assets, because there's generals that say, "Hey, I will not shoot an American."
Yeah.
It's same thing with LEOs. But yeah, not to not to get in that. I mean, it's like my shirt. It's the 13 stars. It says the original rebel flag.
Yeah.
And I'll wear it proudly because it's the truth. I love my country, and I love the great men and women that have made what it is today. But
the thing is none of the protests or rioting, none of that stuff could happen unless they had the freedom to do it. And,
right.
And these folks that are doing all this stuff, they don't realize that. In another country, they would just gun them down or run them over with a tank or something. You know what I mean? You can't do these things in other countries because they'll just. Here we have the freedom to do all this stuff. I mean, honestly, we shouldn't be tearing down statues and stuff. I don't know what they think that's going to do. I mean, all that craziness.
Right.
But we have freedom to say what we want, but it's the violence that's driving me nuts, and all the like tearing down statues and all that kind of stuff. I mean, if you go back to, I hate to make the comparison, but you go back to Nazi Germany, they were burning books. They were burning books and destroying evidence of the past because they didn't want people to be educated. And I'm looking at the statues getting torn down, and I'm like, this is the thing.
Right.
I mean, we're just trying to destroy the past and all these things that we didn't like, and we don't want people to, it's kind of like, well, we can't do that. I mean, we got to have some kind of law and order. And, the defunding of the police, and, hey, we're just going to get social workers to pull over, violent people in cars. I mean, that's not going to work. I mean, that's going to, you have to have police. You got to have law and order. I mean, otherwise nothing works. So.
Yep. Amen to that. We had a question from Troy Crank. He said, "Rich, go over how you set up your rates in Expo. Is it a different way than most of us are used to? So do you have a different way of how you set up planes?" And
well, there's dual rates or triple rates or dual rates, and then there's Expo. They're two different things. Rates, when you adjust your rates, you have a switch, somewhere where you're adjusting the amount that your that your surface is deflecting. Okay, that's the rate, is the amount, the distance that the surface is traveling. Your aileron, your elevator, whatever. But then you have exponential. So, when you move your stick from center to full, for example, it'll move from its center point to full or center to full in a linear fashion. It moves linearly. Okay? But when you dial in some expo, 10%, 20%, 30%, you're now, as you move your stick, it's no longer moving in a linear fashion. It's moving a little bit in the middle. But then as you go towards, it's on a curve. As you move your stick towards full, it'll still move the full amount of travel that it did before. It just moves less in the middle, or more in the middle if you want more. But most people are making it move less just to kind of soften it up in the middle so it's not so sensitive. That's all personal preference. So the way I set up my airplanes is I almost never have any expo in at all. None. I only adjust the travel, the distance. So all my sticks, when I move them, most of the time, everything is linear. Because for me, and that's all personal preference and personal feel and all that kind of stuff. So when you move your stick in a direction, like you're pulling your elevator back, I want to know that as I'm pulling it back, the more I pull it back, the more I'm going to get. I don't like to pull it back in the middle and have it do very little. And then as I get to more, it goes even further. Then I tend to over control. That's just me, though. That's my flying style. So that's why I don't go into too much. I don't use expo and I don't talk about it much, because a lot of times with my airplane, I'm out there flying it around and say, hey, you want to fly my plane? Oh, yeah. I hand my radio to somebody, and they take it. They're like, holy shit, this is like, I can't. It's too sensitive. It's too sensitive. I can't. They're over controlling, and then vice versa. I'll get somebody else's airplane where they automatically put in like 30% expo. And I'm going into a turn and I'm moving the stick and I'm like, it's not even turning. And then I move it more, and then all of a sudden it starts rolling. I'm like, oh, whoa, okay, it's too soft for me.
That center's too soft.
For me, I can't feel what it's doing, and I don't like that. I like to have a little more direct control. So, everybody's different. That's the thing with expo. So there's a lot to this subject. I mean, you can go for hours talking about this thing, but generally, you'll have. I'm trying to think of a way to explain this, but you'll have a servo arm, that moves, and it has a screw. It has a screw in the center, and it moves like this, or the arm is moving whichever way. So I notice a lot of times that the push rod that connects to the arm, often it's way out on the end. It's on the last hole of your servo horn. So your servo horn is moving that control surface a lot. So if you're flying the airplane with that situation with the elevators a lot, I notice that a lot of guys take their rate and they're like, whoa, it's too sensitive for me, because the elevator's moving way too much. So they'll take their rate, and they'll dial it back to like 50%. And then they go up there and they fly, and they're like, okay, I can fly it much better. But what they're doing is they're taking their travel, which might have been from here to here, which is 100%, and they're now, since they dialed it to 50, it's only moving halfway. Okay, so they've reduced the travel of the surface to the point where they can fly it. But a servo that's moving at 100%, okay, it has, and especially a digital servo, just to kind of make an example, if you were to like make that servo arm like 3 feet long, and you were to pull that stick back, you'll see that arm. So now let's say the arm is now 3 feet long. Okay, as you slowly move that stick a little bit, it's actually going to move in digits. You'll see it move in little increments. Okay, but you don't see it because they're very fine digits. Okay, so maybe from neutral to 100% travel, let's just say for sake of argument, it really is moving in 100 digits. Okay, so you have 100 digits of resolution when this thing moves from 0 to 100. Okay, and then it moves from 0 to 100 in the opposite direction. But if you take that servo and you dial it back to 50%, okay, you're not moving to 100, you're moving to half that. Are you guys with me so far? So now you're only moving 50 digits. Okay, you've gotten rid of the last 50 digits that you had because you dialed it from 100 down to 50%. So now you're getting the right travel out of the control surface, but you're only getting half of the resolution of the servo.
Right.
The fine movement and control you're losing. So here's what you do. Instead of reducing the travel of the arm from 0 to 100 and taking it from 100, instead you go 0 to 50, instead of reducing it to 50%, you want to take let's say your ball link is connected on the end. What you want to do is you want to move your ball link in like halfway. Then you dial your rate back up to 100%. Okay, but now your arm, your ball link is now moving the same distance it was that when you put in 50%. But now you're at 100% travel. So you're still swinging that whole arm at 100% travel, okay? And you're getting all 100% digits out of it, but by moving your ball link all the way in on the arm, or halfway in, let's say, now you're still getting the amount of travel, the same travel you had that when you had put it at 50, reduced it to 50%. But now you're getting all 100 digits. So your rod is connected here. Now you're getting all those 100 digits of resolution, and you're getting now you're getting the correct match. So you always want to try to set up your control surface so you're getting the right amount of travel out of the surface. You're getting the correct surface deflection
at 100.
But be at 100% if you can.
Yeah,
so,
and that was the thing too. Is like at Jeff's field, the F-22, because it's a trainer. Like, let's be honest, the Freewing F-22 is a great 90mm trainer. And typically with my jets, I fly what I call a lot of expo. I'm like at 35%, and it just dawned on me, like, let's bring this back. And I'll never forget on the elevator, because that's what I'll do first. The elevator was 35. I dropped it down to 30, dropped it down to 25, and I think I dropped it down to like 22. And as I did it, and as I flew it more and more, my landings got better and better and better, and it like that light bulb just went off. If I feel more, you feel like more connected. If the best way to describe it, of the plane, because I mean a lot of people, and even myself, I like that center of that stick to be kind of just to be a little bit dead.
That's fine, yeah. Set it up how you like it. Yeah, I mean, do what works for you. Now, here's what I always tell people: if you dial your servo travel back electronically, in the radio, if you're at 100% travel, okay, and it's too sensitive for you, and you dial it back, as long as you don't dial it less than, let's say, 70%, you're not losing enough resolution that it matters. But when you start going below 70%, you really start losing that very fine control movement. You start getting into a more of a digital feel, and you lose a lot of control feel out of that control surface. So that's one of the nice things about E-flite stuff, is that E-flite stuff, they already got all that stuff programmed, all the setup stuff. They most of the time have the horns in exactly the place they need to be, and they always almost always have two rates set up, 100% and 70. And it's weird. I started doing a lot of Horizon stuff like 3-4 months ago, and as I started doing it, I started like they use the exact same. I set up my plane, and then I go, oh, the instruction manual's got set up for this shit. So I looked in the instruction manual, I'm looking through it, and I'm like, oh crap, they got it set up exactly the way I already did. Like flaps and everything. Like flaps, they use 2 seconds on the flaps for the slow down, for the slow feature, and then but they use 70 at 100%, which is what I usually set up in my planes all the time anyway. And then with an AS3X, it's not as critical, because the AS3X kind of makes up for a lot of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like you can't, like, I don't even think, I'm still new to it, but you can't even dial like triple rates. I don't think you can only have 2 rates.
Well,
no, you can. You can.
I've got triple rates.
See, because I've tried to dial it higher, and
I've got triple rates on this F-16. And if you've got the program on your iPhone that you can link up to, like my Goshawk that's hanging up here.
Right.
I've got the AS3X. I think it's a 9-channel. I can hook that into a link to my phone on the app, and I can go into that phone and change all kinds of stuff on the app on this phone right here.
See, because I found, and maybe you can look at yours and see if the same is, because like I said, I'm still new to the AS3X, but every time I tried to put in, like I would put 70, 100, and then I'd put 125% travel, okay? And then when I move the stick all the way at 70%, I see 70% travel. When I flip my rate to 100, it goes up to 100. When I go to 125, it does nothing. So check it out and see, but I wasn't getting any more movement by putting 125 in there. It wouldn't.
I haven't tried to go over 100, so that
yeah. So
I don't quite have your skill set.
What's that?
I said I don't quite have your skill set.
well,
No,
but anyway,
I don't
bottom line
either.
is like the AS3X makes up for a lot of that. But all you got, but if you just follow, the eFlight program, it
Mhm.
it it mostly works. In fact, the only thing that I have changed so far in the flight controls is actually this F-16. The tail is I move the ball links in on the elevator. In other words, there's two holes on the elevator horn. There's an outer and an inner. I moved mine to the inner, and just to get more elevator throw to do all that high alpha stuff. But I still left it at 100% and 70%, and it still flies fine. I mean, so it's just to get a little more throw. Other than that, I might have done a little bit to the air tractor, but I'll have those videos out soon. I think I put some air tractor elevator changes, I think. So, but anyway.
Everything in mind exactly as the manual stated.
Yeah.
The elevator and everything. So,
Right. Have you flown that A10?
This one right here.
Yeah.
He hasn't been out of the box.
Yeah.
Now I've
Man.
got the big free wing. I love it. I fly that a lot. I love my free wing.
That little airplane is every bit as good as, if not better than, the FMS and the free wing. I mean, it's just.
Don't tell me that, Rich. You're gonna maybe spend $400 or $300.
Well, hey, use my link.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
But no, I mean, holy smokes! For a little plane, I mean, it flies like it's a bigger airplane.
Dynamite.
And it is faster than hell. I mean, it's just unbelievable how quick that plane is. And
Get it together now.
yeah, I mean, you don't. And then that's the thing is see, a lot of times for me, like a bigger airplane, I love, but I hate. I mean, I really don't like putting, if I can, 2 batteries in a plane.
Mhm.
It's just because you got to line them all up and you got to take your Whereas you just put one in and you go fly it. It's fun. That's one of the reasons I really like the Tiger Cat. This thing is cool. The Mustang. This thing, But sometimes putting 2 batteries in this little plane, that little Thunderbolt, man, you just put a 3200, man, and it's like a rocket. I mean, I'm gonna try a 5000 in it, but it just has so much energy and power, and it's fast. I mean, that's the thing. It's just lightning fast, and then it slows down and lands good, So.
Well, the only thing I'll say is if Jeff keeps winning planes and winning stuff like he's been doing, he apparently.
What'd you win?
What? Okay, so
What did you win?
he's.
What haven't I won?
That's a better
that?
question.
I said, what haven't I won?
Oh. No, seriously, I haven't seen. Did you win on these on other shows? Or
Well,
something?
I've won a
Yeah.
MiG-15, I've won an F-15, I've won a F-14 that's coming from Dave's RC, and I did win a plane last Thursday night in Kenny's live stream, but I was not present, so I didn't get it. I hated that. Brian Chambers got it, but I was glad Brian did because he's a great guy. So that would have been like 4 planes right there.
Then he's won like a lot of like little stuff because me and him were on the phone on Dave's RC. And he's like, because he already won. Did you win something that night, like a charger or something, or like a battery checker?
I won a checker and I won a soldering iron from Reg.
Yeah. So we're on the phone and he's like, man, he goes, man, what happens if I win this? And I'm still joking, playing along with. I was like, yeah, what have you? And I was like,
Now
right.
that we're on the subject of contests, okay? I think my channel is at like 18,500 now or something. It's been growing steady, and I'm making an effort to kind of grow it. I'm trying to get to 20,000. There's going to be some big stuff coming at 20,000. So start passing that around. There's gonna be some stuff.
Y'all heard it here first. Y'all heard it here.
Yeah, that's right. I've done some giveaways before, and I've gone to a lot of events. And I'll get a plane. Like FMS will give me a plane. I take to a lot of events. I just really never televised or made videos of too much of it. I usually just take some pictures or something. But for the 20,000 deal, I'm gonna do something pretty huge. I'll have some stuff for that. So I've had a lot of folks that I've been working with saying, "Oh yeah, we'll set you up with this. We'll set." So that'll be coming. So everybody just kind of pay attention because I'm trying to make a push towards 20, and if I can get there here pretty soon, I am looking at doing some good,
That'd be awesome. Cool.
Some
Well,
good
guys,
stuff.
subscribe so we can get him there.
Yeah, absolutely. So the
So
Racer had a question for you, Rich. Is your seniority with your airline that you work for, is that going to keep you keep you safe. I think you touched base on this that you're kind of like
It,
right in the middle.
yeah, yeah, it should. I mean, I'm in the middle, but the good thing is we just found out that when this kind of stuff happens, they'll offer like early retirement
Right,
packages
like a
to some
buyout.
guys, you
Yep.
know. So and they offered some early retirement to guys that to get out, and so and initially I think they planned on around 600 guys taking it, and they were talking about furloughing about 2,500 pilots from the bottom of the list, and I'm in the middle, I'm I'm
Mhm.
I'm I'm pretty safe, but apparently about 2,300 guys took the early out.
What?
So that pretty much, hopefully, that eliminates
The
the
furlough.
people at the bottom that were going to get furloughed. We hope.
Right.
So, and the good thing for me is that, I mean, I move up 23 numbers like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's just kind of nice. So, it's
So will
that.
the airlines at that point, once all this is over and everything's back at full steam ahead, leave a
Right.
pilot shortage?
It all depends. I mean, that stuff is a lot of that is cyclical. I mean, it's I mean, it's hard to say. The thing is, it depends on. This is an unknown thing, so I don't even know what to say about this. But we got to see where demand goes. I mean, people are
Mhm.
going to want to travel by air again. I mean, the bottom line is as soon as this virus is gone, you know, people are going to want to travel again. But it all depends on how quick the air travel comes back. I mean, right now there's not a huge demand. You know, when I would fly to work, to and from work because I commute, we used to have like 12, 14, 16 flights a day. And at the worst point, it went down to like 4 flights a day or 3 flights a day. And a lot of those planes were empty. And then it recently went back up to about 10 flights a day, but now it's gone down to 6.
Mhm.
So it's changing on a daily basis, the demand for flying, so it's going to depend on that demand and when it comes back. But yeah, there probably will be. In fact, before all this stuff happened, we were supposed to hire like 1,400 pilots this year alone.
Wow.
And then it all of a sudden went from no pilots to you got to get rid of, and even like places like United, I think they even said they only need like half of their pilots or something, so but just as quickly as everything downturned, it can turn around and swing back up, and then
Mhm.
they're like, man, we need pilots now, so but the airline industry is always volatile. Anytime we have a 9/11 or a pandemic or something, I mean, it
Mhm.
just wrecks everything. I mean, it destroys all this stuff.
Right.
So
We don't have
Well,
too many pandemics.
yeah. Well, the thing too is like a lot of the airlines, and I was watching kind of a documentary on this, and this was primarily just about the Airbus, but a lot of these um, airliners that are just parking these planes, and they're talking about
right,
how much it costs just to get these planes back up to snuff. Not
oh yeah,
necessarily airworthy, but like go through the checklist. Like you go and buy a used car, check the oil, check the
right,
radiator, put new fluids in it and
right,
stuff. And they're like, well, however the longer the plane sits, the more money it takes to bring it back up to airworthy or air readiness, I guess I should say.
yeah,
And
yeah,
there's a
yeah,
few companies that have like started because they rather hire these guys and go ahead and do it,
yeah,
and versus having their own.
yeah.
They do it. It's pretty crazy, and it's something I
Yeah,
didn't know about and looked at.
well, the other problem is, pilot currency too. Like we have to do 3 takeoffs and landings every 90 days. That's just for every pilot.
Hmm.
That's basic landing currency. So, like, I haven't flown now in probably, I had training about 6 or 7 weeks ago.
Hmm.
So I went into the simulator, did the full, engine failures, do whatever, all that stuff, and so I was current, and I still am current, but I probably got about 5 weeks before I need to do some takeoffs and landings to maintain currency. So they'll probably call me, or I'm going to call them and say, "Hey, look, I need to do a couple landings." And then if you get to expire or something, they'll send you to the simulator to. So right now they're having a hard time keeping everybody current. You know,
Right.
keeping everybody, just proficiency. That's another issue. It's a whole. I mean, it's all a mess, man. Everything's a disaster right now. I mean, it's trying to keep up with. I mean, we'll recover. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, everybody will recover from this stuff. You know,
Right.
but you know, there's a lot of. I mean, there's a lot of pain, hardship.
Mhm.
This whole thing kind of is a drag. So, but you know, the thing is like Jeff was just saying there, man. Everybody's got to fly RC. I mean, I have so much RC stuff to do, and I have so much. And I think the biggest problem a lot of people have is the people that don't have things to do with them. So they don't have things to do, or they don't have a hobby, or they don't engage in anything, or they have something they do that was disrupted by this. But you know, you got to find yourself something to do. You know, you can always do yard work or clean something up, or
Yeah,
you know,
that's not fun.
yeah, well, it's not. It's not.
But it's
Oh,
adulthood.
believe me, there's plenty of junk outside my house I should do, but I haven't. So,
Hey,
but
look, we got Horizon Hobby in the house tonight.
Yeah,
guys.
yeah. So
yeah, Horizon, Ryan, cool.
so
And
it,
Pilot Ryan Media in the house. What's up, Pilot Ryan?
George Watts,
Hey,
Jeff and
hey,
Laura,
I can't.
Alabama.
Is there a way I can? Hey, is there a way, guys, I can see all this stuff? Because I keep going to your channel and I can't pull up the viewers and stuff.
So if you go, you can see the comment section if you just click on the video on my channel, Raven Rock.
Okay, that's what it is. Okay.
If you go there, you'll be able to see it. But where are you based out of? Orlando?
Where, me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I live in Orlando. Wait, what is is it Raven Rock one word?
No, it's 2 words.
Hang on.
It's better than saying the old name, right?
I thought I was looking. See, I was looking at it.
Like F-16 is awesome. Horizon
Yeah.
Hobby. Bam, right
That's
here.
my
yeah.
as I was saying earlier, and you can watch it after this is already edited through not edited, but streamed again through YouTube. That
Yeah.
F-16 is by far one of the favorite. That
Yes.
and the L-39 and F-22, and you can't go wrong with that F-16. And I got videos of them on my channel. So
Any
plug
of
for
these-
Raven Rock.
Hey, dude, I can't find it.
Oh, really? Well, here, you got, well, of course, I'm assuming you got access to your,
I had it up here a second ago, but it like disappeared.
Drop a link, man. Drop a link.
yeah, I'll drop, well, he can't see the link because he can't go to
RAVENROCK, right?
or, yeah, like
see-
Raven, like the bird, and Rock, like you throw a rock. Here, I'm just gonna, what I'll do is, since I've got your email.
Are you gonna email?
Yeah, I'll email it
I
to you real
can't.
quick.
It's just not coming up. What the hell?
Um,
I got Raven Rock, Nash. Why am I coming up with all this weird stuff?
So, Horizon Hobby, the new release, is it something that flies, something that floats, or something that bashes?
What's that now?
Horizon Hobby is saying that they're getting ready and uploading the.
There's the link. Just click on that link.
He can't
Oh,
see
I
the
got
link
it.
because he's not in the chat. Oh no, you are in the chat. Sorry, I guess I misunderstood your question. Well, he said it went away.
I got it. Oh man, you got a tiger cat up there. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of, I guess, one of our trademarks. I always try to get like a good picture of a plane and like put it as a backdrop.
Yeah. Here I got.
GB,
well,
where have you been
I
at
got a
for
whole
the
bunch
last 2 weeks?
Here. What's that?
I was telling
He's sneaky.
yeah, GB, he mentioned, because my channel used to be Raven Rock Machine Aviation, and I got tired of saying it and explaining everything, so I just chopped it all off and said Raven Rock.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. So Horizon. So who's on with Horizon? Who is that?
I don't know if it's Tom or if it's
Jason?
Is that
Jason.
Jason?
Yeah.
Maybe that's Jason. So all right, cool.
Incognito.
All of the above. All of the above, but doesn't float. So that's going to be a basher and airplane. A flying car. I won it.
Nothing that floats. Okay.
Yeah, so Racer 600. Rich is based out of Orlando.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, well, let's give it away. No, no. I live in Orlando. Yeah, I'm based in Atlanta, so that kind of
oh,
gives it.
okay.
Well, it could be many places, but no, it's what's that?
I got you. So typically, you just hop on a plane. You just ride it to Atlanta. Is that
Yeah,
typically how that
yeah. I
works?
mean, we got like geez, like I said, like 14 flights a day. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I got to be there at like 10 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I got to be there at 5 in the afternoon. So I'll just jump on a plane and go there. Yeah, I mean we can reserve the jump seat, that kind of thing. So it's just like taking a bus. I'm
Sweet.
losing your audio. Hang on a sec.
That's pretty awesome. I knew they did
Yeah,
the jump seats and stuff, but I never thought about you're out of Atlanta, but you live in Orlando, that type of thing.
yeah, yeah. There is a delay. I am getting a delay, a lag on this. This is weird.
Yeah, there's always going to be anywhere between like a 13-second to 30-second delay. Uh,
Okay, okay.
versus like
Gotcha.
what you hear from us versus what you hear through the YouTube. Um,
Okay, that's bizarre.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah, it's
right.
just a
That's like
lag.
that's like time displacement there, man.
it's it's weird
Twilight.
for sure.
Twilight. Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Um,
look at some of the comments here. Air tractor is not T. What does that mean? Someone Sawyer, something or other. Yeah, he's got that. All right.
I would say,
Yeah, I got it.
how many flights do you got, Rich, on that FMS Pitts?
I probably have about, let's say, a dozen.
Mm-hmm.
I probably got a dozen flights. I used to fly the old one all the time.
Right.
Um,
And I remember our
but it was
conversation
nothing.
back in
It was
like
nothing like
February.
the new one. Yeah, it's nothing like the new one is out of this world. I mean, the pieces all fit, the parts fit together well,
Mm-hmm. I ended
everything's
up,
screwed together
I,
nicely.
we talked about it back in like February, and I finally bought it. I think 3 weeks ago. I believe it was
Okay.
like 3 weeks ago or so. Love the plane. It's a beautiful plane. It's the first biplane I've owned. Um, but what I'm trying to learn how to do is since you don't have flaps or nothing like that, is really like how to land it in a shorter runway space. I got plenty of runway, but it's kind of like
Yeah.
one of my things I always like to see and understand how to fly this thing better. I don't know if you
Right.
maybe have like any tips or tricks on that.
Well, it lands really slow. I mean,
Hmm.
if you come in too fast, it'll just keep bouncing on you. I mean,
Right.
the landing gear, it's real flexible. It's got good, it's got struts that, the metal wires in there, they'll flex a lot. If you like I said, if you land too fast and too hard, it'll just get into this crazy, oscillation. So, um, uh, and it's probably easier to land on grass,
Hmm.
you know. On pavement, it's just with a firm surface. It's kind of like that almost with any plane, but um, you just have to get your rate of descent correct, and don't contact too fast, and don't have if your rate of descent is too fast when the wheels touch, yeah, it'll get into a bounce. But you just got to get it slow enough.
Hmm.
I'd say with that plane, try to fly it the first time, kind of like anything else, when there's not so much wind, you
Right.
know, and then that way you can get it down nice and slow and get a feel for how what speed you actually have to be at, that kind of thing. So, um, but um, but yeah, I don't know if that answers that question or not.
No, no,
uh,
it does. By all means, and I've gotten to land. I've had good landings. I did have one rough landing because we had a storm edge front like rolling in,
right,
and I brought it up. I was like, hey, I'm gonna get like 3 more minutes, 2 more minutes. Like I just want to get another nice landing. And as
right,
soon as I got it up, about 30 seconds into it, the wind like really picked up, and the wind honestly
right,
got me. And
right,
the landing gear. So the landing gear where the axles come out to the wheels, there's an E-clip on it. And so they remove about half of the material there. And what that E-clip is to
yeah.
do is to prevent the landing gear from coming like sprawling out underneath
Right.
the
I
plane's
know what you're
weight.
talking. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, and it broke
now,
there.
that's not the best place for an E-ring,
Mm-hmm.
or that's not the best place to because it puts a weak spot right in the strut.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've heard of that happening to a few people. Yeah, and I'd like to see them change that design instead of an E-ring, maybe just put a wheel collar there somehow.
Right.
But they'd have to redesign that to do that. So, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see it. I'd probably like to see that designed a different way, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
how it is.
I ended up, and it was funny is because I saw it on, I did it and then saw it on RC groups. Is I just
Right.
took a 3/16 brass rod, and it's what I had in the shop, and I just put it over. I'm like, man, this is a good fitment, and basically made that whole area one, and then got a. At first, I was using just a set screw that I had turned down, but then I saw it on RC group, like, oh, wheel collar, man, I got a ton of those. So we got that and
Yeah.
used it. Basically, follow this other guy's, because I had mine and he had his, and I kind of took some of his ideas and applied it to mine, and kind of just made like
Right.
a Frankenstein of it. And
Right.
yeah, I mean it's a lot better now. You have to do some drilling to the plastic, but hey, it's plastic. Take your time. I mean
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
It's fine
Yeah.
on it. But
Yeah.
that pits
Yeah.
is fun. I mean it's fun. I'm not a
Oh, it's
3D aerobatics guy, but I get it up high and just start banging the sticks around just to see what it does.
Yeah.
It's me learning.
Yeah.
I would like to learn how to do flat spins though. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a good plane. I mean, it's real aerobatic. It's well, you guys should have seen the old one, the old FMS pits, man. I mean, you had to glue half of it together, and a lot of it didn't fit right, and the spinner wasn't aligned. I mean, it was just kind of a mess. It was a nice plane for the money, but
Mhm.
I'm actually I'm actually kind of blown away at the price. I mean, it's like
Right?
$280. I mean, I think the old one was like 350. I mean, so I'm trying to figure out how did they retool it, make it like 100% better, and then sell it for 280. I mean,
Right.
it's a great price. It's a steal at $280. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know how they do that. I mean, it's amazing what we get for the money with these
Right.
airplanes now. So I know a lot of guys will complain and they'll like, hey, this is I'm not spending, $500 on foam. It's like, well, you don't have to, man. You can
Yeah.
make one out of fiberglass for like $3,000,
Mhm.
So
Oh,
have at it.
and
Go
just
spend. I mean,
and
it's-
just to plug in for my family's business, for those that want to build their own, we sell rigid 1-inch, 2-inch, and 3-inch insulation. So you can glue those suckers together and you can build whatever you want. You want to be one? There you go.
yeah, it's funny.
But I was amazed,
Um,
so my thing is like you hear the wing size. It's a 1400, it's a 800, it's a 850, it's a 1200. And it
Yeah.
really doesn't put how big the actual plane is. I was taking the wings out, and I'm still working on some videos I got going on for it. I was
Right.
like, man, they're like these wings are good size, and I got the fuse, and it's like this short, like stubby, like big round fuse. I'm like, dude, this thing's gonna be big, because I've seen it,
Yeah.
but I haven't seen it like next to somebody other than like your videos, and
Right.
I got, I'm like, man, this thing is big compared to my little UMX.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's like a Smurf and Godzilla.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, any biplane that has a particular wing size, if you visualize, what a 1400 millimeter airplane is like, but then you have a 1400 millimeter biplane, it seems like it's twice the size when you put it together. It's just it
Right.
takes up so much more mass and so much more area that it is. You get a lot for the money, man, with that thing. In fact, the last shipment Horizon got in, a buddy of mine wanted one. He's like, hey man, he goes, I was gonna
Right.
get it through your link. He goes, but I already ordered it. And I was like, well, he's like, I'll cancel the order and just buy it through your link. I'm like, well, that's cool, But he said, I don't know if I'm gonna get one. So I found out from Horizon that they had already sold, 2/3 of what was coming in on that container. And so he
Oh,
went ahead
wow.
and ordered it. And then right after they came in, they were sold out again.
Yeah.
I mean, they just went out because it really is that good of a plane, and it is. I mean, it's just I can't, like I said, I still can't believe. they're
8 minutes
charging
of flight time. 8 minutes of flight
Yeah.
time. That's unreal.
I can't believe you're charging 280 for that, and then like the Tiger Cat, like I mean that's 550.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people may not like what I'm going to say, but that plane ought to be $700. I mean, that's a. I took that plane down to a year or two ago. I did a demo for Frank Tiano. Frank Tiano
Right.
is the guy that does Top Gun and all that.
Mhm.
So and I started explaining it to him. He's like, "Does this thing come with the gear?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Does it come with the motors?" I said, "Yeah, motor speed." I said, "All you gotta do is put a battery and a receiver in it." He goes, "Well, what does this thing cost?" And I said, "Well, for the whole thing, it's like 550." He goes, $550? He goes, like for all of that? Is again? He goes, the landing gear alone is like $500 in my world. I go, yeah, I know. I said, I don't know how they're doing it. He was absolutely blown away. I mean, like that airplane, the Tiger Cat, it has landing gear on it that's probably as nice as, if not nicer than, some of the big stuff you see
Mhm.
at Joe Nall. I mean, it's pretty darn awesome. I mean, um, shoot, I got at least 3 or 4 of those. I mean, they're awesome. I fly Tiger Cats everywhere. I'm modding one right now to do some stuff to it. So,
Right, right.
um,
Yeah,
but
because the FMS one that has like the green like simulate like the zinc coating that they would put inside the fuselage,
oh
correct?
yeah, yeah. Here, yeah. Let me grab my camera. Let me see if I can do this without breaking anything here. Yeah, there's Can you see that? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's one I'm working on. I'm doing some stuff to. But yeah, here's your zinc in the wheel wells you're
Oh,
talking about.
that's so sweet.
Sweet.
But look how nice that landing gear is. I mean,
Yeah,
there's nothing better than that landing gear on a foam airplane.
Mhm.
So FMS killed it with this thing, and this is their flagship airplane. Look, that's the nose gear right there. You
wow.
can you can see how sweet that is.
Yeah, I've got the
So
flight line, like I said, man. But I have
yeah,
looked at getting this plane many times just because of the one battery and the gear on it.
yeah, it's pretty much the nicest foam airplane made. I mean, there's just nothing. I mean, foam warbird. I can probably say that. It's the
Yeah,
nicest foam warbird out there. Period. So far. So,
yeah.
um, but anyway, yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, they're making some nice stuff over there, man. I think it seems like FMS and Horizon Hobby um, kind of together. I mean, they're making some of the best planes out there. I mean, they're just so nice. The quality of what you can get nowadays. So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
uh, um, but
Yeah,
I think
I've always debated about the Tiger Cat. I mean, because from Free Wing
yeah,
or Flightline, I wish Flightline did make some more prop birds. Right?
right,
It seems
right,
like it's like two
right,
three jets prop.
yeah,
Kind of is the gist that I'm kind of getting. Like Corsair is great.
right.
That'd be awesome if E-Flight did a bigger Corsair to kind of compete with the Free Wing of it, right? Because the only thing you have is the
Yeah.
or no, do they have a 1.2 meter, I believe. Um,
Well,
I
there's
think.
there's the FMS. There's the FMS 1700 millimeter.
Is that
That's
still out?
awesome. Well, I think they discontinued it, but there's a new one coming out.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
That's gonna that's gonna that's gonna probably blow the doors off of whatever else is out there.
Wow.
Be honest with you. I mean, because the original one was awesome. I mean, it
Mhm.
really was. But it's an older airplane. The
Right.
technology is still old. I
Technology.
still have mine. I was flying mine a year or two ago. I did a couple demos of it. It's an awesome model. I mean, it really was impressive. But it was just, it had the foam style hinges instead of the submerged
Mhm.
hinges. It had clevises instead of ball links. So it's going to be fully updated, and it's going to be pretty bad to the bone, I think, when that thing
Yeah.
comes out.
And
It's
like
going it's
both key manufacturers, E-Flight, Horizon Hobby, FMS, kind of group those kind of together in one group because they help one
yeah, yeah,
another. And then like Free
yeah,
Wing, I mean they're tick for tat. I mean, look, you may not like one
yeah,
plane for the other, but you'll love the plane. I mean, and vice
yeah,
versa on it. So
yeah,
I have no, I don't
yeah,
prefer one or the other. I know some guys are like, oh, always Free Wing flatline, blah, or vice versa. And I'm like,
yeah, yeah,
no, man,
yeah,
they're all
yeah.
different flavors of ice cream, and I want to try them all.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're all good. I mean, the best airplanes out there being made now are everything pretty much that's being made by Horizon and E-Flight and FMS, and then Motion RC and Freewing. Those things are awesome. The one company out there that I think makes decent planes, but they're fixer-uppers, is the Dynam brand. Dynam, I just did some videos on the Spitfire on floats. That's a little bit of a rough airplane. I mean, a lot of the Dynam stuff is, but also the nice thing about Dynam that a lot of people really like is that they're cheap. They're not very expensive. I mean, you can get a plane for not much as long as you know that you're going to do some fixer-upper stuff to it. You're gonna have to tweak some things, and like that Spitfire. In fact, I'll show you here. I got here. Let's look at here. Actually, this will make you laugh here. Let's see. Let me see if I can do this without kind of doing some stuff. There's my Spitfire right there on floats. The one I did the videos, and I made.
I think that's so cool. Yeah.
That custom ventral fin. I mean, the reason I got this plane is it was so unique, and the Spitfire on floats. I mean, it was a real airplane. I mean, it was not something fictitious. They made 5 of them, and it's like the coolest thing at the float field when you go to one of those events. So I just wanted to mod it, and the real one had that extended fin on the bottom there. So this thing I keep in flying condition. So anytime there's a float event, I take this one. And you got guys with their Cessnas, and they've got their Beavers, and all this other stuff. And then you see this fighter plane from World War II zipping by. It's like it's one of the more unique things you'll see out there. So, here, Jeff. There's my GI Joe there.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Man. That was cool.
I'm waiting for somebody to 3D print a gimbal and put a 50 caliber on the back of that Jeep like it should have came with.
Well,
GI Joe with that box is worth something.
Yeah, it's the GI Joe with the Kung Fu grip, man.
Oh man, that's killer.
Well, you saw the video I did with the tow bar, right?
Yes.
There's the F-14.
Oh, tried and true F-14.
So,
That's a big bird. I didn't realize how big that was until I got it, and like I had the wings back, and I put mine on my F-22 box, and I'm just like, that is just a big plane.
Yeah. And then there's my circa 1983 model Airwolf there that I built when I was 13 years old. So
I found an old video of you actually flying that. Maybe it was like late 90s, maybe early 2000s.
Where'd you see that at? I never saw
it. It was like on YouTube. It was like on YouTube or something. I remember it. Look, I have my mind's weird. I remember like stupid stuff. I remember you were wearing jeans, a black hat, and a white shirt. I don't know why I remember that, but I just remember those details. And you were flying that, and it was cool.
I tell you what, I think that was somebody else, because I don't think I have an Airwolf video online anywhere. Unless somebody else filmed it and then put it up there or something. Because you're talking 1983, 84, 88 maybe. That's a long time. I have videos of it, but nothing. I mean, like I have it all on some tape somewhere. You know what I mean? So,
right. When's the last time you flew that one?
Probably 1990, maybe. I mean, it's old. It's been up there.
So it must be somebody else.
That's one I'll kind of keep forever. I've been dying to get one of those like new Roban ones. Those are pretty sweet. I would terrorize the flying field with that if I had that. That would be that'd be fun. But they're expensive, man. Those things,
Well, I was talking to because I helped Steve Hodges with his, because he got one, and it was funny. Me and him were talking to it, and I was showing him some CAD stuff and helping him. Right. This was probably about a year and a half ago, and he's like, "Yeah, I ordered it." I'm like, "We were just talking about this last night. You went ahead and already ordered like a $2,200 Roban?" He goes, "Yeah." Then he gets it.
Are you talking about the Apache or that Airwolf model?
No, I'm sorry, the Apache.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Apache's awesome.
He's like, "Can you help me do a radar dome?" So I just, design one, kind of base it, because since it was spinning at the time, I didn't want to throw off the balance and harmonics of it.
Right.
And then like as it kind of grew. It's like we did revisions, and helped as best I could. And now that bird is it's just
Oh, it's
crazy.
awesome. Yeah,
I showed
it's awesome.
a good friend of mine used to work on Apaches as a crew chief, and I showed him the picture of him at Mr. Baker's field over in Tennessee, and like way of the shot's position and the back, it's in the fall. You
Right.
can't tell. You honestly cannot tell that it's a model. And I'm like, man, check this picture out here. And I'm going to look closer. And he looked closer and goes, what about it? I was like, dude, that's a model. That's an RC helicopter. He looked at it, he's like, no. I started showing him the build pictures, like, dude, this is nuts.
Yeah,
That's
that's
crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Hey,
In it. But,
what is it? Fish Farmer? What is it? Farmer Man Ross.
Rose.
Oh
Rose.
yeah, he says. Yeah, they he was talking about on the box this picture of me on the box of the plane. It's like I when I went to Joe Knoll, I like a couple years back when the Tiger Cat came out. They had actually sent me the first one that came out of the mold, and to fly there, and it got to Orlando after I had already left. So my cameraman Steve ended up driving the Tiger Cat up there, and he and I put it together. And then I'm getting ready to fly, and I get this message from the factory, and they're like, "Hey, just so you know, Rich, that plane, we hadn't actually flown it out of the mold yet. We flew the CNC, plane in, but we hadn't actually flown that one yet out of the mold. So you got the first one that we popped out of there and took all the pictures with." So I said, okay, that's nice to know. I'm literally
No pressure.
like walking out to the field. So we set it up, got it all trimmed and tuned and all that, and it flew great though. I mean, it flew awesome. So and then we took some pictures and stuff, and they ended up sticking it on the box, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's
It's kind of
awesome.
cool. Most of the box, or a lot of the box pictures are ours. Some aren't, but yeah, it's we did. It was me and it was Brandon Moon. You guys know Brandon Moon? You heard it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's just his level of detail, man. He's awesome. He does. So he and I kind of together. I was working on the mechanical issues. He was working on the scale detail issues. And together, as it was coming out,
Right.
we kept. Before it went into production, we sent a lot of this to FMS, and he's like, "Hey, can you guys add an air scoop here?" And the engine detail was horrible, so he's like, "Can you guys just redo?" So they made a completely new engine. I mean, when you see the engine detail on that plane, it's pretty awesome. I mean, the pistons, cylinder heads, and stuff. And then the gear doors wouldn't close, so I came up with a little mechanism to make them close with a spring assist and a servo and all that. So they copied that to the letter. So like me and Brandon kind of really did a lot of work on that thing to get it. It was probably like 95%, awesome, but it still had a few things, and so we worked out those bugs basically on that plane, and so
Right on.
So that's why it was kind of cool. They put my picture on the box. It was kind of fun. It's kind of neat to see your picture on that thing.
Yeah,
It's
especially being like a surprise like that. But
Yeah.
well, guys, we've been on here for over
Yeah.
2 hours.
yeah.
What is our like almost 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Let's see.
real quick, Hangar 51 there. He's saying, yeah, there's a video of you. See, people ask when I crashed or whatever. There's a video of you when I was flying a BF-109 and it burned to the ground. Yeah. Well, it was funny. The term crash and burn. Well, what happened there is I'm flying the airplane around, and all of a sudden I hear this squealing sound, like the ESC going, ee! And then the propeller just started windmilling. I'm like, oh crap! So I turned, dropped the landing gear, came in and landed, and then I landed, came to a stop, and then you started seeing smoke coming out of it, and it just caught fire. And it was like a land and burn. I landed safely,
man.
but then it burned to the ground. So yeah, there's my buddy Pete put that video out a while back. So that's an old video. And there you go.
That'd be pretty
Anytime
funny.
You say, hey, airplane burns to ground or on fire. I mean, he got so many hits on that thing, it wasn't funny.
Yeah.
So
I
That's
can only
how-
imagine.
Yeah.
But let's say is wrap it up because it's been almost
Yeah.
2 hours and 2.5 hours. Other than I saw Farmer Man. He came in here toward the end. Apparently his dad's at the hospital because he ran over some hornets They're in the ground, their nest, disturbed their nest, and they attacked them.
Oh shoot.
So we're thinking
Wow.
about you and your family, Farmer Man. I saw the comments. I don't want to think you. We were just ignoring it. Just waiting until the end here, my friend. But but yeah, I don't have anything to really add other than thank you, Rich, for being on the show tonight and staying with us for so
Yeah.
long. It's been awesome. You guys be on the lookout for Rich. He's gonna at some point. I'm sure he'll post it up
Yeah.
on his Facebook page and his and Instagram of when he'll start going live. And it's been an honor
Yeah.
having you, buddy.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, we're hoping to start a live show, or at least I may even just go live this week or something, just to test out my equipment and make sure
Mhm.
everything works. So if you
Absolutely.
guys see me come live this week or next week, just come on and talk to me because I'm just trying to get the equipment worked out, and then we'll schedule some stuff. And then, again, we're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers. So if you guys can help pass stuff around, we get to 20,000, we're gonna probably announce some cool stuff. Probably giveaway type stuff, but we're gonna have some cool stuff for 20,000. It'll be a big deal. And then of course we just started Instagram and YouTube, or not YouTube, Twitter. So I'm still getting used to those. So, but check us out on Instagram. We're putting up stuff like daily now. I mean,
Yeah, you
it's all-
are. Yeah, you are.
Do you have any links to for any of the guys that might want to get an RC Informer T-shirt or a hat? Because I noticed you have some of those things, so I didn't know if you might have a link to where guys could pick those
Well,
up.
I am probably going to. I'll probably start doing some Teespring stuff. I know everybody's doing merch and stuff, and I just haven't started it yet. I probably should do it and start doing that. But I do have, which I'm going to start promoting somewhere, these really nice, like custom embroidered hats. These are embroidered. These are pretty darn sweet with my logo with all the colors and stuff. And then I got them on the back because people have been asking me for them. So, and then I did the same thing. I did the same thing with the shirts, but I should be wearing a shirt now, but it's embroidered here.
I've noticed the shirts in your videos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's got the whole print on the back. I just got them and just started wearing them, but I'm trying to come up with a way to promote them because the problem with them is it's not like Teespring where, I mean, I actually have these, so I have to mail these to everybody.
Well,
but
hey,
they're
I'm
super
just
nice.
saying. Me and Jeff, we talked about going down to Florida, right?
Yeah.
Hey, we'll damn well wear some some RC Informer shirts.
You guys should really try to plan to come down for that. I mean, I don't know what's happening, but I'm planning on being there,
Right.
and I'm going to try to be there for like all 3 days and bring a bunch of stuff. And then Amy's going to come, and we'll probably have the kids and stuff too. So, I mean, we're planning on,
Oh, heck yeah.
I mean, we're planning on, making, Joe Null in the fall and Seth happen during that weekend, So,
Yeah. I mean, you got to catch up, right, for time lost. Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're gonna try to make a big deal out of that, and barbecue out, and drink some beers and stuff, and all that. So I think it'd be a good time if you guys can come. Try to come. We'll do it.
We'll get it
try
done. Yeah, me and Jeff, we've talked about it. Now it's just about just getting everything lined up and kind of just get a feel for this whole mess going on now.
Right.
To see what happens. As far as we know, Wes, it's still on. It's not getting canceled.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm just excited for hopefully in 2021, doing all will kick back up because I haven't been yet.
Yeah.
I haven't been yet. So I was looking. I was like, this is the first time I get to go. I'm so
Yeah.
excited. COVID hit, and I'm like, all right, falling and all, like all in the fall, like, all right, we're good.
Yeah.
My opinion,
Yeah,
I think they jumped the gun, but hey, it's their facility. They can do what they want. I respect their decision,
Well,
but
Here's the thing. When they do that show at Joan All, they have to invest like a lot of money in advance. For they got to get all the toilets going up.
Right.
They got a line. I mean, they got to spend a lot of money in advance, and it's a pretty huge loss if they don't have it. So
Right.
they probably were looking at everything and said, we just need to cut this loss early because they don't want to spend all that money and then have it just go down the tubes, which is what happened. So hopefully.
Right.
2021 we'll do it. I hope. So that's like the best time. I mean, we get like me and the guys at our thing. We barbecue every day or we're cooking. We always cook. Amy, like last year, she brought out when she came. She like I'm out there flying planes. I'm taking a break. She cooks me chicken wings, man. She brings out buffalo wings and all that stuff
Oh,
out there.
heck yeah! I know what
It's,
tin I'm flying
it's
at.
awesome. But I actually had her go over to. In fact, we'll usually do this at every Joe Knoll, but I'll have her drive over to Costco, and I'll have her pick up, a 10 or a 10-pound or maybe even a 2 10-pound boxes of king crab.
Oh wow!
And
I really know what tin I'm saying at.
Talking like big legs, man. And then we have a huge steamer over there. My buddies bring. And they steam up all that stuff, so we do like king crab at Joe Knoll. I mean,
gosh.
So
we
do all. And then we have
dinner.
we have the Papa Smurf's barbecue, not barbecue, but the Low Country Boil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those are always
everybody
good.
buys tickets for that. Well, you've seen that, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, Jeff, you were there last time, weren't you? I think, weren't you?
I haven't gotten down there yet, man. I want to.
Okay, all right. But there's a Low Country Boil that we put on that everybody puts in like 10 or 20 bucks or something. I don't know what it is. And then they steam a huge pot of, corn and what is it, potatoes and sausage, and then they pour it all out on a big table, for everybody. So that's like for everybody. Anybody who wants to get in on that can get in on that, so but yeah, it's a big time, man. We pull out all the stops, and that's a fun event. So we'll probably have a micro version of that, down here in November, hopefully. I hope so.
Heck
anyway.
yeah! Can't wait.
We need some oysters too.
Yeah, man, we can do all that.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I'll work on the hat thing, guys. I'll probably start promoting that on my website or something, and I'll get hats and shirts for it. I mean, I have them. I just got to start promoting them and get everybody set up so whoever wants them, I can mail them out.
Mm-hmm.
Send us some. We'll wear them for you.
I'll send them. Yeah, I'll send them to you. And if I don't, I'll see you at the thing in November.
Heck yeah.
I'll bring you some there. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. So.
Well, awesome, my friend. It's great. Again, it's great having you on. It's been an honor. And
yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, thanks, guys.
And I can't wait. Hopefully in November, I'll finally get to meet you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be good. Yeah, hopefully. We'll fly together, man. We'll have a good time. It's just the best. Like
together one night and do a big Zoom, man, and get everybody that's going down there together and just
kind of like
chat.
pre-plan.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that sounds good. So.
Well,
all right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Everybody take care. You guys have thanks for joining us tonight, and you guys have a great rest of your week. Jeff, you got anything to add, buddy?
No, man, I just appreciate you, Rich. It's been great. I'm humbled, as I said, man, and I think you're great, man. So keep it up.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys. See y'all. Bye.
Man.